Okay, and we are live. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today I'm joined by a slew of special guests. Of course, I've got Allie the Icebox on deck with me, Digge546, Tommy G, and Big Dash Knows. We're here to talk New York Giants and ring in the new year, bringing in tomorrow's game against the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to have some fun for the next hour or so, talk about the Giants, preview this week one matchup, give you the updates on Darren Waller and everything else in between. Before we dive into all that, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. And go down in the description box and go follow all of these great people on Twitter. Go check out their YouTube channels as well. Plenty of awesome content creators in this live stream right now. So without further ado, how are you all doing today? I guess, Tommy, I'll go with you first. How you doing, and are you hyped for week one or what?
Listen, everybody, and everybody on this panel, we're in deep with this, right? It's been a long off season, a lot of question marks, a lot of speculation. Had a good free agency, had a good draft, right? Preseason's been good, training camp. All we're hearing is the offense has been good. The offense has been progressing. I'm ready. I'm ready to answer some of these questions. I'm ready to see what Darren Waller got, Daniel Jones, who earned their contracts. I'm ready to go and blessed to be a part of a great panel like this. Thank you for having me tonight.
Yes, sir. Happy to have you on. Diggy, how you doing, my man?
Listen, I've only been able to think about one thing like the last week. Every year, the week before the season, I have like dreams every day about the game. And like, I always have a dream for some reason where like I fall asleep and I wake up in the fourth quarter. And last year, I fell asleep and I woke up in the fourth quarter and we were winning. And then this year, I woke up in the fourth quarter and we were winning by like 30 points. So if last year is any sign of what's going to happen again this year, then we're going to blow the Cowboys out.
Let's go.
Well, I hope you're right about that. Maybe you've got a little bit of an ability to see into the future, and I really hope you do because I want to see a big 30-point victory. But Dash, how are you doing today, my man?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real simple, man. I'm ready to go to sleep, wake up, and watch the Giants. That's it, man. I want a Saturday. I'm ready for the Saturday to be over, and go to sleep and wake up and watch. It's gonna be a long day tomorrow, man. We're gonna enjoy some football, but that Sunday night game is gonna take forever to get here, and I know it. But I'm just excited, just like everybody else is excited, man. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see this team, get on the field and do what we know they can do.
Me too. It's been a long wait all throughout the offseason, but we're finally here. Allie, how are you doing today?
I am good. I am so excited. All I've been thinking about is beating the Cowboys. I am so tired of hearing Dak's record against us. So tired of people saying that we can't beat them. I feel like I'm not scared of them at all. I know for a fact we're going to win. So I'm just excited. But I'm going to pass it to you because no one ever asks you, how are you doing today?
It is a question seldom asked of me, but today I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this upcoming game. I mean, like I said, it's been a long wait throughout the offseason. We've been doing a lot of content, speculation content. Will the Giants sign this person? Will they win in week one? What will their record be? Enough of it, though. Now we get to go ahead and watch it all come together on the field and hopefully secure a nice primetime victory against the Dallas Cowboys, who, as you all know, we have not beaten in recent years. It's been over 2 years since we've beaten the Cowboys, and it's been about 7 years almost since we've beaten Dak Prescott. So that needs to change. And I want to dive in immediately and talk about some key players that we think can be the difference between winning and losing. Some of these Giants players that we think can be the X factor in beating Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. And the first name that comes to mind for me is Kayvon Thibodeau, because Kayvon Thibodeau entering year two, one of the keys to winning this game, in my opinion, is to apply a lot of pressure to Dak Prescott, force him to turn the ball over, which he does rather frequently, or at least he did last season. 15 interceptions, led the NFL, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was under pressure a pretty good amount. I was looking at it on PFF earlier today. He was under pressure 34% of his dropbacks in 2022. So he threw 6 interceptions on those dropbacks where he was pressured as well. So I think when you're looking at it with Dak Prescott, you want to get him to turn the ball over, and you got to get after him and collapse that pocket in order to make him do that. And I think Kayvon Thibodeau, after the performance that he had last year against Dallas on Thanksgiving, 9 total pressures, a 33% pass rush win rate on Thanksgiving. Thibodeau was a monster, and we know that he always shows up on prime time. So I'm excited to dive into Thibodeau, talk about him for a second, and preview what we expect of him in this upcoming game. So I don't know which order I want to go in here. I guess I'll go back to Tommy and see, how are you feeling on Thibodeau going into week 1, and anyone else that comes to mind as an X factor for this game.
It's funny. Just got home, just taking care of business. I was driving here, and I had the premonition about Kayvon Thibodeau having a career game. We seen a little flash of it versus Washington in that second primetime game. And what did Thibodeau say? I love primetime. I want to put the team on my back, right? Got the team hyped that night. What did he do? Pressure after pressure in the backfield, sack strip, forced fumble, touchdown. Now he's going against a Tyron Smith that is not the Tyron Smith a lot of people remember. Obviously, Hall of Fame career, been dominating opponents his whole career, but he's been injured. 17 games played over the last 3 years. He's been injured. So when you got somebody like that, and you got Thibodeau who's hungry to prove himself, that's going to be a good matchup for the Giants. This whole Cowboys offensive line, Tyron Smith, right? Got the other Smith, he's hurt. So I think what used to be a negative for the Giants against the Cowboys offensive line always dominating the Giants defensive line. I think that turns tomorrow night. I think that starts with Kayvon Thibodeau. I expect him to abuse Tyron Smith. If he's out there, he's not going to be 100% attack. This is a primetime player. I don't want to hear nothing about his sack totals last year. Would you have loved him to have 10-plus sacks? Sure. But how many of the first-round edge rushers did when you look at it, right? So pressure, Thibodeau, you got a healthy Azeez Ojulari. That's what stands out to me, right? So that first Giants-Cowboys game last year, week 3, you have both edge rushers on a pitch count, right? You had Kayvon coming back off the preseason injury. Azeez, he's always got something going on, unfortunately. Not this time. They're healthy. They're going to be explosive. There's going to be a totally different pass rush from the Giants, and it has to be because you have 2 rookie cornerbacks starting tomorrow night. You have to give them support. You have to get that organic pressure up front. You can't leave those rookies on an island like that. So I expect Thibodeau to beast tomorrow night. I'm not going to put a number on it, but he's going to be in that backfield, and they better not start Tyron Smith if he's not ready because Tibbs is coming.
Tibbs is coming, and I can't wait to see him come. But pause. Okay, sorry. Allie, I know that you're the Thibodeau enthusiast. Allie, I know that you're the Thibodeau enthusiast on Twitter. So why don't you dive into Kayvon Thibodeau and what you're expecting from him in week 1?
Well, Tommy kind of touched on it. Kayvon's famous line, Kayvon doesn't love prime time loves him. So I'm excited to see a big Kayvon game. But I feel like not really more so on Kayvon. My eyes are mostly going to be on Evan Neal, to be honest with you. I've always said I am not worried about the Cowboys offense. What I am worried about is that defense. And I'm worried about Micah Parsons, and I'm worried about DeMarcus Lawrence. And Evan Neal has had a terrible season last season. Like, let's be real. He was not good in the slightest. And I'm not trying to see DeMarcus Lawrence beat up on Daniel Jones anymore. So that's where all my eyes are at. So I need him to have a good game, and I need our O-line to actually stand up and do their part. So that's what I have to say on that.
Yeah, I think the offensive line is crucial, especially looking at who Dallas has defensively, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, as you just mentioned. And Evan Neal, real struggle in his rookie season, but hopefully he turns it around. Like to see him have a good performance in week 1. Hopefully he can hit the ground running throughout the season. But also the rookie cornerbacks that Tommy mentioned. Dash, how are you feeling about Trey Hawkins and Deonte Banks starting on the outside in week 1, especially going up against the Dallas offense that has some serious firepower? You've got CeeDee Lamb, an all-pro player, and you've also got, of course, Brandon Cooks, who goes for 1,000 yards pretty much every season that he's healthy. There is a lot of talent in the Giants receiving corps. So how are you feeling about our rookies going up against them?
Yeah, if there's going to be a question mark, for the New York Giants on that defense, it's going to be, what these young rookies can do. I think a lot of what Wink is going to plan to do is if those guys can hold their own. So for me, I have confidence in these guys because here's the thing. You can't teach, you can't teach 4.3 speed, but not only are they fast, they're also physical, and they're also big cornerbacks. So you worry about them getting beat deep? No, because they have the speed to recover. It's all about them just being smart, savvy, and not falling for some of the tricks in the trade. These guys are savvy veterans, the wide receiver room for Dallas. Again, like you said, you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Cooks, you have Gallup coming back off of his injury. Now he has a full year of being healthy, and he's coming back now. So we should see an even better Gallup than what we saw last year. But in regards to those cornerbacks, they got to grow up fast. And again, I'm not worried about them, but if there's a question mark, that's a question mark. I do want to say this though, because I didn't get a chance to answer the question about Kayvon Thibodeau, and I got a big, bad, bold prediction. I got Kayvon Thibodeau getting 3 sacks in the first half. The first half. The first half. And that was before. The injuries. That was before the injury to Tyron Smith. That was before the injury to Tyler Smith. The Smith brothers, you got an old man, and then you got the young man next to him, and they both might be out. Come on, man. Now I'm really talking about 6 sacks. And here's the thing, too, man. I spent the whole training camp, I spent the whole offseason training camp being modest. I'm done with being modest. They call me a homer at this time of the season. I'm big homer. Call me, answer me correctly when you say big homer. I got the Giants whooping the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow. Listen. 3 sacks for Kayvon Thibodeau in the first half. I'm saying it. And when it happens, go ahead and at me. So you can tell me, yeah, Dash was right on that, man. But that's where I'm at right now when it comes to Kayvon Thibodeau. And again, for them young cornerbacks, I'm good. As long as they can show improve, Wink going to go crazy. He's going to go crazy.
Listen, I hope you're right. 3 sacks in the first half, that would spell probably victory for the New York Giants. I mean, if they're able to get after him at that rate, I think, everybody in here is pretty positive right now, pretty excited about this game or predicting some wins. But Diggy, how are you feeling about those rookie corners going up against this receiving core? And of course, your take on Kayvon Thibodeau going into year 2.
Yeah, with the rookie corners, I'm really confident in them going forward. I think these 2 will be our rookie corners like for the next 4 years or however long, they end up staying, and unless we have to pay one of them big money or something like that. But I'm not worried about them long term, but this is the first game. They're going against Brandon Cooks. They're going against Gallup. They're going against CeeDee Lamb isn't going to just line up in the slot. And you think Adoree might follow him, but there's going to be a couple of plays where CeeDee Lamb is matched up on a rookie. And that's something I think they're going to have an overwhelming advantage. It's just going to be really easy for them to exploit that. They have a vet quarterback. Dak is not a scrub. He's going to be able to make stuff happen. So it just goes back to Kayvon Thibodeau and what Big Dash just said. We need that front four to take over the game. Like, they need to take over the game, and I think it's finally ready to happen. We've watched our offensive line and our defensive line play against Dallas and Philly for the last 10 years and lose at the line of scrimmage every single time. And right now, I'm looking at our front four. Leo is healthy. Aziz is healthy. Kayvon is in his second year. Dex is an all-pro, and Dex is only getting better. And he's still, he's going all out in practice, so he's not going to take a year off. These 4 down on this line of scrimmage, they need to dominate, because if they don't dominate and they give them time, it's going to be a long day. It's just 2 rookie corners. You can't get past that. But I think they're going to dominate, and I think our offensive line is going to dominate. I think that the center that we got, John Michael Smith, I think that he's going to have a quick learning curve, because he's been training with 2 NFL offensive linemen for like the past 3 years. It's a joke, but he's pushing 30 right now. He's an old man for rookie standards. So I think he's going to really hit the ground running. And I think for the first time, you're going to see the Giants, and you're going to see them going against the Cowboys or the Eagles. I don't know about the Eagles. I'm not going to go that far. But you're going to see them going against Dallas, and you're going to be like, are the Giants winning at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? Like, I think this is going to be the first time we see it in over a decade.
I hope you're right. And I'll say a couple things there with John Michael Schmitz. It's crazy to me that he and Andrew Thomas only have a 57-day difference. Andrew Thomas is only 57 days. It's just under 2 months older than John Michael Schmitz. He is an old rookie, but with that comes a lot of experience. He's played a lot more football than most rookies. Of course, not at the NFL level, but he's played a lot of collegiate ball, and he's ready to go, I think. I think John Michael Schmitz, one of the main things about him all summer long is he's been going up against Dexter Lawrence, and that's a huge boost to him. Going up against the very best in practice every single day, and he's seemingly been holding his own. So I think that we're going to see a big year from John Michael Schmitz, and I do think that this offensive line is in line to take a huge step forward, especially considering it seems like we kind of have our guard situation figured out here. Ben Bredesen, I have a pretty good amount of confidence in. I think he's a capable starter in the NFL. Mark Lewinsky, I'm a little 50-50 on, but when you're looking at those 2 at the guard spot, They're the solidified starters now. I read that earlier today that Brian Dable solidified those two in the first team. We know that Josh Azidu tried to push his way into the starting lineup. It didn't work out, but he's still young. I think he's got plenty of time to get it figured out. But with Beredesen, with Glowinski, and the rest of the offensive linemen, I think it's going to be a decent unit this year. And will they win in the trenches on both sides of the ball, like you're saying, Diggy? I think it's a little 50-50 on the offensive line at least. But I will say for that front four, for that front seven in particular, I think that they're going to have a massive improvement in the running game. The run defense should improve drastically this season. I mean, when you look at how bad they were last year, I mean, getting thrashed by Philly every single time that we faced them, they were running the ball with ease. And now going into this season, Bobby Okereke, he's a huge boost to the run defense. And then I think a fully healthy Leonard Williams as well. Kayvon Thibodeau has been working, getting better. Azeez Ojulari, hopefully he'll be healthy. I think that he's a little bit underrated as a run defender. So stopping the run, that's got to be a big focal point for the Giants in this week 1 game in particular, going up against Dallas, who has a formidable rushing attack. So, Tommy, how are you feeling about going up against Tony Pollard and Deuce Vaughn as well? If he gets to run out there, that short man that he is running in the Dallas Cowboys backfield. But how are you feeling about the Giants' run defense, the new and improved run defense going into week 1?
Yeah, so let me get something off my chest real quick since you mentioned the Eagles. You know, no shade to Dallas, but if the Eagles are going to be the litmus test, the Eagles are going to be the bar for the Giants to get there. The Giants gave up almost 600 yards rushing to that Eagles team last year across those 3 games. Let's get that out of the way. You ain't winning no football games like that. Last year versus the Cowboys wasn't as bad. Giants still gave up 330 yards across both games. Ezekiel Elliott is gone. It's Tony Pollard's show now. And listen, give Joe Shane credit, right? He had certain objectives in this offseason. Get Daniel Jones weapons, upgrade team speed. Fixing the run defense was right up there. So what does Joe Shane do? Gets himself an actual sideline-to-sideline middle linebacker and Bobby Okereke, Ashawn Robinson, Nacho, Boogie Basham. You bring in, Isaiah Simmons. I think he'll be used a lot more for blitzing. But, hey, you got some dogs out there now that could defend the run. This is not Jalen Smith out there now. This is not Justin Ellis at defensive tackle now. So I expect immediate market improvement from the Giants' run defense, and it has to start right away in the NFC East matchup.
Sorry about that, guys. No, yeah, totally, 100%. I think that there's going to be some huge improvements to the run game, but there's a stat that I want to throw out here. Since 2004, nobody has repeated. You mentioned the Eagles, so I wanted to bring this stat up. Since 2004, the NFC East has not had a repeat champion. In 2001, from 2001 through 2004, the Eagles won it 4 straight seasons in a row, and since then, an NFC East team has not repeated. So everybody is really high and mighty on the Philadelphia Eagles this year, but I do not think that they're going to repeat. I think the streak continues, and it's going to go into 20 years, because when you look at Dallas, I think, or when you look at Philadelphia, rather, they lost a lot in free agency. Their defense is not going to be what it was last season, in my opinion. So I think that our run defense is going to improve, and hopefully that gives us an edge in at least one of those games against Philadelphia this year. But everybody's really high and mighty on them. But like we've said, the Giants are a good team, and I think that they can be potentially that team to break that streak, or keep that streak alive, rather, once again this year. But, Allie, when you're looking at this run defense, one other thing that I want to focus in on is that number 2 linebacker spot, because we do feel really confident in Bobby Okereke, and we think that this unit's going to improve. But I want to talk about why it might not improve as well. And I know that we had a discussion a few weeks ago on the channel about Darian Beavers, about Micah McFadden, how we weren't sure who's going to step up. And then the Giants went ahead and added Isaiah Simmons. So when you're looking at that number 2 linebacker spot and kind of that rotation of those 3 guys that they have there, and then, of course, the run defense as a whole, do you see any part of this that can make you say, I don't think this unit is going to take a step forward, and I think that they might struggle once again this year?
I don't know. Maybe I'm an optimist. I feel like I'm kind of confident in who we have stepping forward. Even before we had Isaiah Simmons, I was kind of confident in McFadden moving forward. I did like Beavers, even though I knew McFadden was kind of beating him out before. But I don't know. I'm just going to stick to being optimistic. I don't think that the run defense is going to be how it was in years prior, and we're going to get yards ran on us. But again, that could just be me. But I'm going to kind of throw this question too. I'm going to ask Dash over here if you have any opinions on what you feel on this run defense.
No, I think, well, first I'll get back to the beginning. I guess Dallas, like I think they're gonna miss Ezekiel Elliott. They're gonna miss that change of pace back that they have. They got all small guys now. It's all small guys. The only thing that bothers me with Deuce Vaughn is that he reminds me of Boston Scott too much. And he's just super little. You can't see him.
Facts.
But here's the thing: pass protection for these running backs. No, I don't think they can do that. Not Pollard, not Vaughn, and then the Rico guy. I really don't know who he is. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm just thinking about our defensive front, and then thinking about these injuries for the Dallas Cowboys. How are you going to run the ball on the New York Giants with those like Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence? He's a problem for the starters. And you're talking about these guys might not be playing tomorrow, and if they are playing, they're not 100%. And then, like my man Tommy said, you got Bobby Okereke. We had horrible linebacker play last year, and now we got a guy that can play the linebacker spot, and then we got another guy that's a sideline to sideline type linebacker too. Listen, I don't know what Dallas is going to try to do tomorrow. I don't know what they're trying to do. I know the fan base is going crazy. I've been getting into spats, in the spaces with Dallas Cowboy fans all week. My confidence level is sky high, man. I expect a lot from this defense, man, especially this run defense. And what we saw last year can't happen. And I think it's a good enough rotation. Because just think about the guys that are coming in after Leonard and after Dexter Lawrence. Way better than the guys we had last year. Mondo, I mean, where is he right now? We don't know where Mondo is. You probably don't even remember who Mondo is. Now we got guys that can actually play behind them with a good track record. Sean, you got Nacho. And again, I think we can come at like that old New York Giants where we come in waves. The rotation is fierce. So again, we have to see it on the field. They didn't get a lot of snaps, in preseason. But again, I just got high confidence that we're going to be able to stop the run. Especially with these guys not being, there's no Ezekiel Elliott back there. There's no change of pace. So I'm confident with that.
Definitely a lot of changes on Dallas's front. So we'll see how they can adjust. I see Tommy has brought an additional guest into the stream here.
He's been trying to get up here the whole time. He's like 30 pounds, man. I'm
Catch
struggling.
no.
I ain't blocking him. He's in here.
Well, Diggy, I want to get your take as well on the run defense. And then I kind of want to transition it and ask you as well, what are you more confident in, the run defense or the pass defense for the New York Giants going into week 1 and really going into the season at large?
One thing I'll say about the run defense is to kind of build on what Dash just said. Tony Pollard is not Ezekiel Elliott. He's not a power back. He's not that type of runner, but I do think he's underrated as a powerful runner. Like he's 217, so it's not like he can't carry the ball. Nobody's carrying it these days besides Derrick Henry and a couple of times a season, Saquon 25 times a game. So I think he can do that, but I do also recognize that he's not Zeke. Like, and even a watered down Zeke is a powerful runner who's just going to just be throwing those body shots all game. And apparently against the Giants, he doesn't get old. But as far as the rest of the running game tomorrow, I'm looking for it to be really good because the left side of their line is going to be hampered. And we have, in my opinion, all 4 of the guys on our line of scrimmages, they're Pro Bowl guys. And I think just like you said, building on that depth at defensive tackle, we all saw what happened. Going back years, the backup defensive tackle comes in, they run right at him. Like, I mean, I remember I was excited because we had Danny Shelton, and I was like, no one's going to run on Danny Shelton. He's 350, 360 pounds. And then I see Danny Shelton tripping over himself. And so, like, I'm just happy that I think we have now like 3 or 4 guys at defensive tackle behind what we have that we're confident in. And then you can also throw in Carlos Basham there too. So I'm really liking that depth there. Bobby Okereke is and I've been messing up his name left and right, and people
can
have
we
been
get that straight? Like, what is the correct pronunciation?
I've been saying Okereke.
Bobby O.
Bobby O.
Bobby Okereke is what the
go.
kids are saying these days. But anyway, I like what he does when he's on the field. He was in the frame every single time they ran a play. He was there. And I think him being there has made Michael McFadden play a lot better. He looks a ton better. And I think it's because he can kind of do what he can play off of Bobby. So I think Isaiah Simmons in that role that Michael McFadden has been playing is going to be really explosive. I think he doesn't have to think. All he has to think about is, am I blitzing? Am I going around to make sure I get this gap? It's going to be a lot easier for Isaiah Simmons now that he's not the lead linebacker. So I'm excited about that. But if Bobby goes out, I'm really not expecting much from the linebacking core. I think they need a veteran that is disciplined, that can be in the right spot to allow them to play how they need to play. But I don't think that they can do it on their own just yet. Maybe Darian Beavers is that guy, but he's coming off of ACL. Other than that, I need those edge players. I watched Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari's tape, and the thing that stood out to me even more than anything is they both did a really good job setting the edge, and they just haven't done that in NFL. They just haven't done it consistently. Sometimes they'll set the edge. Sometimes they'll just abandon it. Sometimes they'll get washed out. So I need them to set the edge because no one's running at Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. That's not happening. No one's running there, and Bobby is going to be right behind them. So if they can set the edges, our run defense could be elite.
I agree with you. I think especially when you're looking at those edge rushers, it's really huge that they take a step forward. Of course, we talked about Thibodeau earlier, but especially against the run. And that's one of the things that you see over across the road, right? With Dallas, right? On the other side, they have some edge rushers and some defensive linemen that do set the edge really well. DeMarcus Lawrence does a phenomenal job of setting the edge, and so does Micah Parsons. And I think that those guys are really players that the Giants have to key in on. They can be game breakers. But transitioning, I want to ask you all, and anyone can answer, how are we feeling about Kadarius Toney? You know, how are we feeling about that trade after watching that Thursday night game? It came to mind. I want to talk about it. 3 drops. I mean, yeah, no, I see you clapping, Diggy, and that was a fun one for us Giants fans to watch. I know everybody was having fun on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and but not Kadarius Toney. He's not having fun on Twitter and X, I'll tell you that much. He had all of his fun throughout the offseason. Apparently didn't have enough fun practicing on the football field because he couldn't hold on to the football to save his life. So anybody want to chime in about Kadarius Toney?
Listen, I don't hate on everybody, but I loved hating on him that day. I loved it.
What I will say, I actually was a really big Kadarius Toney fan. I did feel like he is such a dynamic player when he has the ball in his hands. I thought we would be able to use him in a lot of like Deebo Samuel type plays. I thought he would be really good for us, but he was just never on the field. What made me start to hate him was just how he would act kind of off the field towards fans. Obviously, the New York Giants, we are an intense fan base, and if you can't deal with like the heat, then you just can't be here. Like he would see hate and just immediately start interacting with everybody and try to fight back. And to be a New York Giant, you can't do that. You don't see Daniel Jones fighting with everybody who's trying to say he sucks. And then Kadarius Toney wanted to go and start trolling us with his Super Bowl ring that, again, he barely did anything to win. Let's be real. You won that ring because you're on the Chiefs and you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. But you didn't really do anything. And saying F the Giants, F New York, and I was like, okay, you are completely dead to me. I'm rooting for your That was just disrespectful.
Yeah, I'll just say this, and I don't like to ever wish on anybody's downfall. I hope Toney has a good career. Not rooting against him. I really don't care about none of that stuff. I was upset he didn't work out with the Giants. I was actually a fan of his at Florida. I was happy the Giants took him. Didn't like the way the draft turned out to take him. That made me upset. I really wanted Devonta Smith. But listen, you got to be humble, right? Because when you're on top and you're in the Super Bowl and you're making plays and you're returning kicks and punts, and you want to point that finger in people's face, right, and say, ha ha, look at you, look at you. Guess what? When you come back down off that high, those same people are going to be pointing at you and laughing. And that's what happened on Thursday night. That humble pie is not always a dish served hot. Sometimes it's served cold. So I'm going to say this. True. And with all, I'm being straight up honest here. I hope he learned a lesson. I hope he hits the jugs machine. I hope he gets some work in, and I hope he has a great career. I ain't got nothing against him because the Giants got good receivers, got Darren Waller out of that trade, but you got to be humble, especially as a young player. Tone it down, man. Just tone it down a notch, KT.
Yeah, something I'll say about Kadarius Toney is I was a huge fan of Kadarius Toney. I was one of the few people who were like, I'm on stream excited that we got Kadarius Toney because I was like, this dude's skill set. I think, listen, maybe I'm just bloviating, maybe I'm just being extra, but I think Kadarius Toney is generational with the way he can move once he has the ball in his hand. I think I really haven't seen anybody that is that elusive in the open field that literally he cannot have ACLs. He just can't have them because I watched him literally juke somebody out and he tore his ACL. Like it's impossible to be as elusive as he is, and I think that's kind of why he keeps getting hurt too, because he puts so much pressure on his joints, which I thought was ridiculous when someone told me, but maybe that's right. But with Kadarius Toney, I mean, he's a sensitive guy, and listen, I'm a sensitive guy. I'm a sensitive guy, and I went on Twitter and I said, listen, KT is a little sensitive, but he's going to get back on the field and he's going to do his thing, and he blocked me because I said he's a little sensitive. So Kadarius is I mean, listen, he's a sensitive dude. It's a good thing that he got off Twitter. But for the things he said about the Giants and the way he acted, it just was kind of nice to see that humble pie. I really had fun watching that downfall. But I can't really listen. He's still young. I can't root for his whole career to fall apart. I could never root for someone to be on the NFL field and then not be able to be on the NFL field because of whatever reason. So, I mean, he's got a perfect quarterback for it. If he can just catch a ball, I mean, he's a threat to score every time he catches it. So, hopefully he can turn it around. But I wouldn't mind if I saw a couple of more games like this before he turns it around.
Petty.
Oh man. For me, I rooted for Kadarius Toney, man. I was happy when he won the Super Bowl, like a lot of people, because he helped beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So that was one thing. And then the first time he went at, the New York Giants fan base, I was like, okay, yeah, we already know what it is. He's trying to rub it, we kicked him out of here, we traded him, this, that. And then after a while, it's like, how much more can you take? Whether man, he's trash talking and doing that. So here's the thing. When you act ugly things happen. And Thursday was ugly for him. And we'll see what happens, next for him too. Because again, I was like, I ran right to Twitter, and I'm thinking he's cutting his comments off. He already cuts his comments off. You can't say anything to Kadarius Toney. And I know he was really not trying to hear anything that night. But I was just hoping for something, a video on Instagram or something with him saying something, but he couldn't say anything. He knew he was wrong. And let's be honest, like he literally lost him the game. Like he catches that ball, they're in field goal range, and and they win the game. And so he got to hold that L, man. And guess what? That's what happens when you talk trash. God is a Giants fan.
Hold up, did y'all see that video of him like storming off like into the locker room and he had his hand in his
hands? Yeah, he was hiding his hands. Yeah. That was a smart move.
Oh man.
That's those yellow gloves he had on.
The memes are amazing. I saw one where it was just like a compilation of him dropping passes with "Drop It Like It's Hot" in the background, and for some reason that had me like so weak.
Yeah, Giants fans, they missed a beat on that one, man. I think I seen every single Giants fan on Twitter jump in on him.
They couldn't wait.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
people were doing victory laps.
And I got two more things before we move on, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
two quick things. First is this kind of reminds me of Eric Flowers. Second, the way that Eric Flowers was that sensitive and he was pushing Jordan Renan, which some of us want to push Jordan Renan sometimes, but
true.
Pretty much that's the first thing. And then the second thing is like I used to love the Chiefs. I used to love watching Patrick Mahomes play, and he's caused me to root against the Chiefs for like the first time in my life. And it's not even because of Tony. It's because the Chiefs fans said your poverty franchise couldn't figure out how to use Kadarius Toney, and we have it all figured out now. And that has probably made me dislike Kadarius Toney more than Kadarius has made me dislike Kadarius Toney, because it's like somebody's telling you like we can do better with them, and now they switched on him way quicker than we did.
Right.
That's all I'll say.
The Bulls rained down. You can hear it on television. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think the funniest part about that was everybody saying the Giants didn't know how to use him, but Andy Reid's going to know exactly how to use him. But all he's doing is giving him some jet sweeps here and there, and that's your version of using him to his fullest capacity. And either way, when you throw him the ball, he's not capitalizing on it and dropping every pass. But I'm celebrating for a whole nother reason. I'm a big Rashee Rice guy, and I have him in my dynasty league. So I'm hyped about that. I've been talking him up for months. I've been talking so much trash in that group chat for that fantasy league. You wouldn't even believe it. So when he scored that touchdown, best believe I did a couple victory laps in that group chat. And I had
he started off a little shaky too. It was a little shaky at the beginning.
A little shaky, but he'll get it going. The
whole wide receiver core was shaky.
Good for fantasy. Yeah, the whole wide receiver core was shaky. Richie James as well. I mean, I actually like Richie James. I think he was a pretty good player for the Giants. He did a lot more than what was ever expected of him, and I think you got to respect that. You know, a lot of Giants fans look at that game where he fumbled twice on the punt return. And yeah, he deserved criticism for that. But overall, on the year, I mean, he had a great year considering he really shouldn't have been on the field that much. It wasn't expected. But Tommy, you said in that draft, you mentioned how it didn't land or shake out the way that the Giants wanted it to. You wanted Devontae Smith. I'll tell you who I wanted in that draft. Some of you have been viewing the channel for a while now.
Not this week.
It's Micah Parsons. I was so high on him in that draft. I said this is an all-pro year one. Best believe he was an all-pro year one. I could not believe that the Giants passed up on the opportunity to take Micah Parsons. I said I would love to trade down this draft. Yes, I'd love to get a haul, but not if Micah Parsons is available. That was my number one guy. I was even advocating for trading up for Micah Parsons before that draft because that's how high on him I was. I thought he was going to be the best defensive player in the NFL, and he's in the conversation. So week 1, Giants versus Dallas, how do we slow down Micah Parsons? That's the question that I want to leave for you all out there because that's the big question that the Giants coaching staff is wrestling with all week long. And going into this game in week 1, he's your game breaker. He's the guy that you need to slow down in order to win this game, but slowing him down is rather impossible. So what are you all feeling about Micah Parsons? How do you slow him down? And, you know, stopping him really is the key to victory, in my opinion.
Yeah. You want to go first?
No, go ahead, Dash. Go ahead.
So I think it's Chip City. You got to chip them. You got to chip them all game. Pretty much. And then I saw you guys, Fireside, you guys had an update. I didn't get a chance to watch it again. I was out of the loop today. There was an update for Waller. Was it a good update or a bad update?
Positive update. He's expected to play. They're saying that the injury is one that's not believed to be long-term. And he might be a little bit limited in this game. He's got some hamstring tightness from an injury from yesterday. There was speculation, when did the injury happen? Some fans thought it might have happened on Thursday. It happened yesterday. Hamstring tightness, though, and he's going to be playing.
I don't like it.
So what we're saying is 12 personnel. That goes right back into the question. Yeah, 12 personnel is Chip City. Daniel Bellinger is a big guy, Paul. So he's a big guy. I need him chipping all day long. All day long, let him chip. We already saw Micah Parsons, as bad as he is, cry about getting chipped. So I'm going to keep chipping him all day long. Let him complain. Let him cry about it, because the more he cry and whines about it, the more time Daniel Jones has to get the things done. So that's what I'm doing to him. I'm 12 personnel, chipping. Even if it's not 12 personnel, I'm chipping him on every play. Unless Andrew Thomas got him. If Andrew Thomas can show that he can, like he has before, show that he can hold his own against Micah Parsons, then maybe I don't chip as much, but I'm coming out chipping for sure.
Yeah, and one other thing, Tommy doesn't know you're next, but one other thing on the Darren Waller update, the Giants had their practice squad elevations were due today at 4 p.m. They only made one elevation. It was Tywan Jones, running back, that was on the practice squad. He's going to be contributing on special teams. But they have Lawrence Cager on the practice squad, and they did not elevate him, which basically means that they're confident that Darren Waller is going to be playing. He's going to be at full strength. So that's something to keep an eye on, or something to take note of. The Giants are definitely expecting Waller to be on the field.
Yeah, so we talked earlier in the show about the Giants' defensive line showing up. It's got to be the same the other way around, and it starts with number 11, right? You know, when you talk about some of the great players in NFL history and when offense is scheme, right, you got to put a hat on that player. You got to know where that player is at on every single play. Let's be honest, Parsons is that guy, right? First game last year versus the Giants, he didn't do much. Second game, Thanksgiving Day, Andrew Thomas had a bad flu, wasn't going to play, whatever, had himself a couple sacks. My thing is this. Not only do you got Parsons, right, but you got DeMarcus Lawrence on the Thanksgiving Day game, right, combined 11 pressures between them two. So while you could put a hat and you could put a guy on number 11, got to watch out for DeMarcus Lawrence. And like I'm with Dash, Chip City, put a tight end on that side. I'm going to say this, and people might not like it. I don't want Evan Neal blocking Parsons one-on-one right now. I just don't. I'm just be real. Maybe next matchup down the road, like let my man get back into the flow. Andrew Thomas, absolutely. Andrew Thomas, mano-a-mano, one-on-one, go earn your keep. I don't want Neil doing that. Put a tight end on that side, chip block. But, yeah, absolutely. Do not let number 11 wreck the game. Got a game plan for that guy.
100%. And before Allie or Diggy, you take it, got to say thank you, Cameron Johnson, for the donation. He says Big Dash knows what? What do you know, Big Dash?
Said New York Giants football. Let's go.
Yes, sir. So Diggy, I'll pass it over to you. Micah Parsons, how do you slow him down? And I will say real quickly with Tommy, what you mentioned there with Evan Neal, I think that's a really good point because this is a guy who needs his confidence back. He even mentioned that his confidence got shaken after a few bad performances last year. I think the number one thing is that you don't want to happen to Neal is to watch his confidence get wrecked in week one. That could have lasting implications for the rest of the season. So I agree with you. Do not leave him on an island with Micah Parsons, and let's see how he fares against DeMarcus Lawrence on that regard too. But yeah, Diggy, how you feeling about Micah Parsons in this one?
Yeah, I see a comment. Let's Be Giant says, "Iron sharpens iron." Evan Neal needs that. No, Evan Neal doesn't need it. not Michael Parsons. I heard you say. I heard you say you don't want Evan Neal blocking Michael Parsons at least the first game, Tommy. I don't want Evan Neal blocking Michael Parsons ever one-on-one. I just because predict that he's going to be as good as Andrew Thomas is just that's going to take a lot of development. So Andrew Thomas, I'm not worried about it at all. Anybody that's on that side, in my opinion, is erased. It's just that simple. Michael Parsons, think about it. Michael Parsons didn't wreck the game last time, and Andrew Thomas was legitimately sick, and he gave up one sack. And they were like, "Look at Andrew Thomas. He gave up that one play, and he was that sick." So I'm not worried about Andrew Thomas. Other than that, you got to chip. You got to get rid of the ball quick. You have to run the ball directly at him. I'd love to have Evan Neal running at Michael Parsons. That'd be good, but we just got to do everything we can to get rid of the ball quick, run the ball. Anybody that's this good, you're not going to neutralize them unless you put 2 or 3 people on them, and they're not going to just line them up over top of Andrew Thomas all game. He's going to line up over top of Evan Neal. He's going to line up over top of John Michael Smith. He's going to line all up and down the line. So we just got to have a game plan for him. He has to be circled every single play, and it's not going to be easy. We're going to have to play a certain game just to make sure that he doesn't wreck it.
Hey, Diggy. Even if Evan Neal becomes good, he'll never have Andrew Thomas's feet, like ever.
Never. Ever. Exactly.
Ever. So yeah, I'm with you.
It's not happening. Like Andrew Thomas is shutting guys down doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's wiping the windows. He's doing the Mr. Miyagi, shutting people down. Nobody else is doing that like that. Yeah. So Evan Neal, I don't want him one-on-one on Michael Parsons. It's not that much iron in the world.
Yep, I agree with you there. Don't want to see Neal one-on-one with Parsons, but Allie, I know talking highly of a Cowboys player, you're gonna make fun of me for that.
No,
you always do.
I won't, because I really like Micah Parsons. Out of everybody off the Cowboys, whenever I'm talking my smack about the Cowboys, it's never about Micah Parsons, never about CeeDee Lamb either. I really do like CeeDee Lamb as a player. I think everybody is making a good point. Our game plan is literally going to be stop Micah Parsons. He is who I am most afraid of. That's just what it is. However, I kind of do want to ask a little memory question, I guess, since we're leaning towards the end of this stream here, since this is the first game of this season, and obviously it's going to set the tone, I think, for the rest of the season. I kind of want to know what everybody's favorite moment is from last season. So, Anthony, I'm going to throw that question to you. What's your favorite moment from last season?
That's a tough one. Week 1 last year is a pretty high memory. Titans missed that field goal. Giants get their first week 1 victory, and God, it felt like forever. So that was an exciting one, but it's the playoff game, the playoff win. If I want to go one moment in specific, it's when Daniel Jones rolled left and threw left on the sideline to Isaiah Hodgins. That's when I was like, okay, Daniel Jones, he just puffed his chest out and he said, I'm the man. I'm the franchise quarterback. Pay me. That was the moment for me, and he got his money, and he deserved it. That was a big game from Jones and a big throw from Jones. It was Mahomes-esque. I was chatting with a friend earlier today, and he was like, I hope that the Giants let let Jones loose a little bit more, let him do a little bit more of that Mahomesy stuff. And I was like, we haven't seen him let loose. We haven't seen him try that too much, but there's a couple plays that stand out that tell you maybe he can do that. Not to the Mahomes level, not to the Mahomes frequency, but here and there, I think that he can get off script and make some of those kind of wow throws. And that's the one for me. So that was my favorite moment of the season. Hodgins, of course, being involved on that as well. Great players stepped in midway through the year and made a big impact. So Daniel Jones left on the sideline. That was my number one moment.
I like that. Who's next? I'll go.
Go ahead, Dash.
So for me, it's been a roller coaster ride for me and Daniel Jones, right? I remember his first start, Tampa Bay, comeback victory. The week after that, goes and whoops on Washington, and then Garrett comes along for 2 years, and it becomes a dark 2 years. And then at the beginning of last year, I was very excited about the coaching staff, but I was still not sure of Daniel Jones. And then we go to London, we play Green Bay, and I saw Daniel Jones without Saquon Barkley go 92 yards for a touchdown. And that's when I knew. I said, you know what? I think we cracked the code, and Dable has some great coaching. Has done some great coaching with Daniel Jones. So that's when I knew. I said, you know what? No holds barred. I'm in the car. I'm riding with Daniel Jones till the wheels fall off. And that was my I guess my favorite moment of last year was that Green Bay game, and that drive without Barkley. Because everybody said, Barkley won us all these games, and I argued with people back and forth. I'm saying, yeah, I understand that, but you take Daniel Jones away from this team, we can't get over the 50, and I've seen that happen. So that was my favorite moment last year was the Green Bay game, 92 yards, and Brightwell capped that off for a touchdown. That was my favorite.
Honestly, I can agree. I could jump on that just because I also got into a lot of arguments when everyone's saying that Saquon is the reason we made it to the playoffs and Saquon carried this team. I do feel like you take Daniel Jones out of the equation and we don't win a lot of those games. And I've said that even from the 2021 season, which was absolutely terrible. We won, 4 games? Daniel Jones got hurt, was out the rest of the season. And when Daniel Jones got hurt and we took him out, that's when you actually saw how terrible this offense was. And yes, we were bad here, but without him,
man, it was ugly.
Touchdown. So you are so right with that point, and I think I interrupted somebody. I'm so sorry. I just had to get that out.
Yeah, so you all mentioned some good ones. Obviously, last season felt like we had unlimited plays that were memorable, right? From the opening 2-point conversion versus Tennessee, like Dash meant Green Bay, that 90-something yard drive with Marcus Johnson at wide receiver, Barkley shoulder hurt, right? So many good plays, but the one that always stands out to me is the second Washington game. Giants up 7-3, almost 2 minutes left in the first half. Defensive slugfest, 4th and 9 on Washington's 38-yard line. And Brian Dable, like he did all season, rolls the dice, gambles. Richie James runs his little stick route right at the yard sign, and Daniel Jones delivers a strike, completes the 4th and 9. Giants end up scoring on that drive. And if you remember that second Washington game, whoever won that game, their playoff probability went into like the 80 percentile. Whoever lost went into like the low 20s. So that would be my play of the year. That was the one when I said, okay, we're heading somewhere this year.
I like that.
Yeah, I would say, the playoff game has to be number one, but
right.
To not repeat what anybody else has said, I would say that Ravens game where Lamar threw that interception, and this is more than one play, but when he threw that interception and then to ice that game with a sack and a strip sack is very un-Giants-like for the past couple of years. And that was against a team where people are like, there's no way the Giants are beating the Ravens. Like, mark that off as a loss. So I would say to see that, it just made me feel like the Giants were actually a legit team at that point, and we could actually make a playoff run. So I would say beating Lamar was huge. Pause.
You could probably go back around against everybody, and we could all say another one. That's how good that season was. Man.
Yeah, it's a bunch of memories. That's
100%.
bouncing off Anthony, I know you said week one. Week one was one for me as well, just because we had so many seasons of just really bad Giants football. And I feel like the Titans game was literally just a roller coaster of emotions. You see Daniel Jones throw an interception and we're losing and you're thinking, oh my gosh, here we go. We're going to lose again, to Brian Dable going for it with the 2-point conversion, seeing just everybody so excited. There's one moment that I remember. I think Shepard got the touchdown. You see them all run to Dave's, and I remember just like having tears in my eyes because I was just seeing how much they love Dayball, and then it just kind of set the tone. It's like, okay, we are witnessing magic here. So that was big for me. And another favorite play, because I love Daniel Jones so much, when he stiff-armed Patrick Peterson when he was running with the ball. Come on, seeing that from Daniel Jones is pretty cool because everyone tries to like make him seem like he's just like some like little geek, doesn't really do much. Daniel Jones is big. And Daniel Jones has some swag when he's on the field. So
that's a big boy.
I enjoy seeing that.
That's the thing that annoys me the most about the Daniel Jones haters and criticizers. They make it seem like they talk about this dude like he's like 5'6", 115 pounds. Daniel Jones is literally a 6'5" human being who's like 240.
Oh, yeah. He's
like
tight end.
Daniel Jones is not a joke of an athlete. Like he's a 6'5", 240 pound man who can run 23 miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing funny about Daniel Jones on the field. Like, who is running 24 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour, and not tripping over themselves with pads on? Who's doing that?
Hyatt.
Exactly.
Hyatt.
a literal track athlete.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones does this for fun. Like,
Hyatt speeds when he goes for a jog in a school zone. Like Hyatt is that fast. It's crazy. He literally runs at the mile-per-hour mark in my neighborhood. Like he cannot go for a run in my neighborhood. He'll get pulled over by security.
I can get pulled over in a 15 mile per hour speed limit.
How we feeling about Hyatt tomorrow night? You think they bring him along slowly? You think he pops one off tomorrow night? What are we thinking?
Oh, I want to 60.
I'll grab that. I'll grab on that one real quick because I'm feeling a Hyatt touchdown tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a deep one because what we see from the Dallas Cowboys is a lot of aggression out of those cornerbacks, Trayvon Diggs in particular. Listen, I don't want to dive onto Trayvon Diggs and just say that he's bad. I know that some Giants fans will just say that he's a burnt piece of toast. Yes, he has those moments where he does get burnt, but he's great. You know, he's great zone coverage. He plays that well, and he stands in those zones, and he's a pick merchant. Like, he gets those interceptions. But when you do have him in man-to-man coverage right there, there is something to be said about his over-aggression. It's kind of like Marcus Peters in a way. Similar style player, Baltimore Ravens years ago, and even the Chiefs. He was always one of those really aggressive outside cornerbacks that would get a ton of interceptions, but would also let up a bunch of big plays. That's Trayvon Diggs. And who does he let those big plays up to? It's those speedy receivers, those guys that fly, right? Those Jalen Hyatt gliding down the field with the 4.3 speed. So what I think is going to happen, the Giants are going to cook up a play-action play. They're going to have Hyatt run probably a sluggo or a post corner, something of that sort, and they're just going to let him take a double move, put in a fake, and just go because you can't keep up with him. They're going to wait until they have one of those cover one or cover zero looks where Trayvon Diggs is in one-on-one coverage, and you know that he's going to get over-aggressive. He's going to get overconfident against a rookie corner or rookie wide receiver, rather, think that he's got him on lock. And I think that Hyatt's going to hit a nice double move, and Jones is going to hit him on a big touchdown. So I don't think they're going to bring him along slowly. In fact, I think that Hyatt explodes onto a scene with a big explosive play in tomorrow's game.
Jalen Hyatt is going to have at least 85 yards tomorrow on 2 catches.
on 2 catches.
Tomorrow. If that happens, that Giants Twitter is going to be crazy tomorrow night, man. Nobody's sleeping tomorrow night. If that happens with a win, nobody's sleeping.
Like, for me, outside of the Kayvon Thibodeau getting 3 sacks in the first half, the only thing I want to see more than that is a deep touchdown from Jalen Hyatt. I don't care if it's on Diggs, Gilmore, Bland. I don't care who it's on. If we see something like that, and if we see it early, oh my God, the fan, like, we might as well shut Twitter down. It's gonna go crazy. It's gonna go crazy. I would love to see that. I think that they might be prepared for it. You know what I mean? I think they might be prepared for it. But even with that being said, Diggs is such a risky, guy that I think he still falls for it. I think he will still fall for it. And yeah, we can't hold back. I don't think we have the opportunity to hold back. It's still the Dallas Cowboys at the end of the day. And every time we get a chance or get a possession, we need to go ahead and capitalize on it. So if it's taking shots deep for Hyatt, I need to see that.
Yeah.
I need to see that soon too.
Hyatt's
Soon.
gonna hit like crack. Taylor, and like I don't want to
She's
see
not
a
lying.
Taylor touchdown. I want to see the Daniel Jones to Jalen Hyatt touchdown. And I will say this: as far as like Jets Twitter was saying that Sauce kind of locked Jalen Hyatt down. He did not. Jalen Hyatt 100%, I think, burnt Sauce on one of those plays. It was literally just Tyrod Taylor was throwing the ball. So I think if he could beat Sauce Gardner, I'm not worried about the Cowboys defense. So we're going to see a Jalen
And
Hyatt.
had to bring up the Jets, huh? Had to bring up the Jets.
They
October
are
29th.
aggravating me. I am waiting that
Yeah.
day circled.
Me
I'm
too.
Yeah.
I can't wait to put the pause.
I
on the
don't think.
Jets,
I don't think. I'm not worried about the Jets when we
I
play
can't Diggy. I can't wait to put the pause on the Jets, man. And you know what's crazy about? Never mind. That's what when we. I'll save it. I'll come back for that Jets game. I'll come back. I can't
Let's
wait for
do
that
that.
game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait for that game.
I'm ready. The amount of arguments, debates I've gotten into with Jet fans already, I'm tired of seeing Jet Life all over my Twitter feed. Like Jet
Yeah, I
Life.
was surprised. I gotta say, I was surprised how spicy the Jets fans got after that preseason game. Like, damn, for a team that
Like,
right, for a team that ain't won a Super Bowl since the '60s, like, come on, man, know your role. Like
Broadway Joe.
respect the banners. Like, come on now, you see him every day when you go to work. Respect the banners.
That Jet Life triggered me.
me
I was
too.
triggered.
like
I was
that.
triggered by the Jet
I
Life.
don't
Man.
like that.
And they were going crazy. I put up a post. I had to cut up of the first two series. Like you scored against nobodies,
Mhm.
nobody's out there
Jamon
against
Green.
nobody's. Yeah, like come on, and you barely got that if it wasn't for a hold. Yeah, I can't wait, man.
Like,
And
think
here's
about this. Go ahead.
They can't like. We got Dallas tomorrow. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
man.
focus.
Like the way.
So I feel like every week so far, I feel like I've gone on a Jet rant just because I'm so ready. Their fans too much confidence. They got Aaron Rodgers and feel like all of a sudden they are automatically winning a Super Bowl. And let's not forget how bad Aaron Rodgers was last year on Green Bay with that O-line, and the Jets still had really bad O-line. I get Aaron Rodgers,
O-line is worse.
but it's like if he can't throw the ball, what can you expect him to really do?
You know, I want to say this though. I want to say this about the Jets.
Just couldn't
No,
resist.
it's not bad. It's not bad. I want to thank the Jets. I want to thank the Jets for picking Tippmann over John Michael Schmitz because somebody in that office felt dumb enough to take Tippmann over John Michael Schmitz, and that man is not even starting for the Jets. Not even starting for him. So thank you, whoever that was decided to leave John Michael Schmitz on the board and take Tippmann.
Imagine Garrett Wilson being.
They waved him off.
Yeah, that's
Garrett
true.
Wilson was a Rookie of the Year, a Pro Bowl wide receiver, and he celebrated like they just won the Super Bowl when he scored a touchdown on Jamon Green.
Yeah.
Like it's like they
whole-
really believe that like our starters were out there and they just didn't know who our starters were. Maybe I'll give them that break because I really feel like against the Jets we'll have like 12 sacks.
What's that? Week 8?
O-line
It's week
is
8.
bad.
It's week 8. It's week 8. It's week 8. Okay. I can't wait for the Jets. Let's get through this one first.
Yeah, one game at a time. I can't wait for the Jets
Yeah.
game either, but I think good point there with Joel Tippmann when we do get to that Jets game and how many sacks we might get. Dexter Lawrence, that's the game that he's got to be circling. He's going to feast in that one in particular, but hoping that he feasts in this one. But I want to talk about one guy that, we used to talk about all the time, every single time we would do any type of Giants content creation. The number one player that we wanted to talk about was Saquon Barkley. But this offseason, I feel like Saquon Barkley has kind of gone into the back seat, relaxed. Darren Waller's grabbed a bunch of the headlines, Jalen Hyatt, Daniel Jones. Of course, Barkley had his moment with the contract stipulation or negotiation, whatever, and it didn't go his way. But now he's going into the season. He said it's a prove-it year for him, right? He thinks that he's on a prove-it contract. That's how he described it. He's got to go ahead and prove himself once again. So Barkley, week 1, Dallas, this is the time. Darren Waller, maybe a little bit banged up, tight hamstring. I think that Saquon could be an X factor, like I said earlier. I think Hyatt scores a big one. I think Waller is the focal point of the offense this season. But Saquon Barkley's still there. He's still a weapon, and he's still the guy who's going to be your workhorse back, your guy that touches the ball 30 times a game if he needs to. So I'm curious how everyone is feeling about Saquon Barkley going into week 1, even though he's not necessarily the whole offense anymore. That's obviously a good thing, but how are we feeling about Barkley, especially going into this week 1 matchup with Dallas?
Yeah, I'll start that one. Obviously, a lot of talk this offseason about Barkley, the contract situation, that whole rigmarole back and forth. Once they got that done, we didn't hear nothing about Saquon Barkley, right? This is the quiet before the storm. I like that it's been quiet. I know, listen, I'm a big fan of Daniel Jones. I've been a Daniel Jones supporter. Got a lot of haters out there on Twitter because of how I supported Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley is still the most explosive, most dangerous player on this offense by a wide margin. Anytime he touches the ball, he's a threat to go. I don't want to hear about that lost step. If he did, if he didn't, he's still a threat to go. He could juke. He could run through you. He could run around you. He could run over you. I like that it's been quiet for Saquon because as soon as it kicks off tomorrow night, 8:30, he's still the most dangerous player for the New York Giants. And listen, he may not have the same stats. They may not use him as much because they got more mouths to feed. But I actually think based off of what we saw last year, he's going to be a better player minus all that volume. Because you've seen what happened last year, in that Texans game, like 30-something carries, whatever it was. And that's a lot for a running back. This is not Derrick Henry. This is not a big back, a big bruising back. So I think that quality over quantity is going to be important for Saquon. And I don't see no slowing down for him at all.
Yeah, I can agree. I think having more mouths to feed, like a Darren Waller, like Jalen Hyatt, kind of takes the defense away from Saquon, which is only going to open him up even more. So it's like if you leave Saquon one-on-one, you already know Saquon's going to beat whoever's on him. So he's going to be open. I think he's going to have a big game. I'm hoping he has a big game against Dallas.
Yeah, I think it's actually amazing that we can even talk Giants football and then get to what are we, an hour in, and we're just now mentioning Saquon Barkley. So the Giants have come a long way because last year again it was about Saquon Barkley, and now this year it's about everything that's outside of, I guess, Saquon Barkley, and that's the scary thing because we have high expectations, and we haven't even seen Saquon Barkley in this offense yet this year. I think this offense looks absolutely different from what it looked like last year. And then how does Saquon Barkley fit into this scheme versus what we got from Saquon last year? And I remember even last year when I saw Saquon Barkley, he ran a lot more physical than I've ever seen. And I remember people saying like, "Yo, this is this the old Saquon Barkley. We got him back." I'm like, no. We've never seen Saquon Barkley run physical like this before. Like he's, running out of bounds and taking the extra contact and doing this. And it didn't work out for him in the long run. So I think this year, again, we have some quality guys behind him. And I think less is more, believe it or not, for Saquon Barkley. I think, and it's almost like I think Saquon Barkley, in all honesty, and this is just me, he needs to be the complimentary piece. He needs to be the side dish instead of the entree for the New York Giants. You paid Daniel Jones a lot of money and you surrounded him with a lot of weapons. And just to think like, okay, let's get busy, down the field. And if we can do the dink and dunks, or, if we could take some shots downfield. And then all of a sudden, the guy that we forget about, Saquon Barkley, who we should not be forgetting about, goes off. It can be potent, man. It can be potent, and it can get real spooky in MetLife tomorrow night for the Dallas Cowboys, man. I'm telling you, my enthusiasm. Listen, I'm going to sleep after. Like as soon as we get off, I'm going to sleep. I'm trying to go to sleep. I don't think I can.
You got your clothes laid out for tomorrow morning.
It's on the bed like the first day of school, man. In the bed like the first day of school. I can't wait to get up in the morning, man. I'm gonna eat some breakfast, and then it's all Giant. Listen, I can't wait, man. I hate that it's Sunday night football, but I also love it because it's prime time. But yeah, everybody gets to see the Giants tomorrow. Everybody. And I'm hoping we take advantage of the situation. And shout out to Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited that I've been watching a bunch of Cowboys content creators, and what they've been saying like I've been on YouTube making videos about the Giants since 2009. So I've been hearing it since then, or I haven't been hearing about Barkley. But ever since Barkley has been here, they've been saying all we got to do is stop Barkley. And this year, they've been saying all we have to do is stop Darren Waller. So if they're thinking that all they got to do is stop Darren Waller, and I've been hearing like Voch Lombardi over there, Will Steele over there, guys that really watch tape, guys that really, they still are biased, but they watch tape, and they're saying, "Oh, we can just play straight up. We can stop the run, but without putting extra guys in the box." Really? When the Giants' offensive line was the worst in the game, teams couldn't stop us without putting 8, 9 people in the box. So I really hope that they address this and just say that they can play straight up, because they took a guy named Mozzie Smith in the first round. I mean, okay, try it, because I really believe that the Giants can go out there tomorrow, run the ball 35 times. Saquon doesn't need 35 carries, but run the ball 35 times and put up over 200 yards. I just have that feeling. I think that's the only way to counteract that pass rush, and I think that's something that people aren't thinking of. We got all these new weapons, but all of these new weapons are going to open up things in the running game for Saquon Barkley.
I think so too. I mean, especially considering when you've got Saquon Barkley in the backfield and you're having him run a route out of the backfield, typically he's getting picked up by a safety or a linebacker. But now one of those safeties, one of those linebackers, they have to key in on Darren Waller. So I think that this upcoming season, not only are we going to see Barkley be Barkley in the running game, but last year he really took a step back in the receiving game. It wasn't as involved. Like, you think back to his rookie years, ties the record for 91 receptions as a rookie. Absurd to do that as a running back, tying Odell Beckham Jr.'s record for 91 receptions. But these past few seasons, he's really taken a step back in the receiving game. And I think a lot of that is because the opportunities haven't really been there for him. Because, again, like we've all said, the defenses were keying in on Barkley, making sure that they were covering Saquon Barkley. But now with them keying in on Darren Waller, again, he needs to stay healthy throughout the full course of the season. A little bit of a rough patch already here, tight hamstring. Again, he's going to play, but with that being the case, with the defenses keying in on Waller, more one-on-one situations for Saquon Barkley to come out of the backfield and make some big-time plays in the receiving game. And I think that's how he's going to make that impact this year. Of course, he'll be impactful as a runner, but to really be that X factor, that next-level player that we saw from him his rookie season, it's in the receiving game. And I think that Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, they're going to unleash the beast with Saquon Barkley out of the backfield. But we're here. We're over an hour in, so I'm going to keep going. I'm having fun in this stream. We got a bunch of people in here. It's up to you guys. I know I said come on for an hour, chat Giants. You can stay with me.
This is what I do, man.
If you want to. If you're ready to get to bed, go to sleep, and wake up tomorrow and watch some New York Giants football like Dash and got your outfit all laid out on the bed, I'm not going to keep you guys.
You know what the crazy thing is? I haven't even eaten dinner yet. It's 5 o'clock over here, man. It's 5 o'clock. I haven't even eaten dinner. It's 5:11 right now. I did want to say something because you mentioned something about Darren Waller, with the tight hamstring. Here's the thing. I'm giving him that old Plaxico Burress treatment. Like, I don't even want to see you in practice. We'll do the walkthroughs and you play on Sunday. But that's where I'm at right now. Like, I don't want to risk none of this. You can rehab all week long. We get to the walkthroughs and then you play on it. I don't want to play around with that, man, because we know he has a history with the hamstrings the past 2 years. Give him that Plaxico Burress treatment, even though he's not Plaxico yet. You know what I mean? Give him that Plaxico Burress treatment, man. Let him rest up. Put him in what's it called? Hyperbaric chamber? Put him in that. Put him in that. Like Mike Jackson. Put him in that. And let him heal up, man. Let him heal up, and I'll see him every Sunday. I don't need to see him, Monday. I don't need that. Keep him healthy, please. Yeah, I need him on the field. I need him on.
Yeah, 100%. And somebody pointed this out to me in one of the group chats I'm in, and I tweeted about it too. Is like, Darren Waller is a recovering addict, and he's worked really hard to get to where he is at this point. And he cannot just do, like, we see a bunch of retired players talking about their careers, and they say they just pop pain pill after pain pill after pain pill. He can't do that during the week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we have to be cognizant of, and he's going to get a lot of days off just because of the pain management that other players can push through pain because they can use all these other things, and he can't use any of that. So I don't expect him to practice much this year because he's a vet. He's got it down. I think that's a factor that I just didn't even think about until yesterday.
That's cool. I didn't think about it. That's a great point.
It is
Really good point.
Listen, I played cautious with him. Any of us that watch football, play football, a sore hamstring, probable questionable, that turns to a 4 to 6 week injury in a couple hours. So I will play it safe. I know everybody wants him out there tomorrow night. I want him out there tomorrow night. We've been waiting all off season to see him out there. You still got Daniel Bellinger, right? Daniel Bellinger could still do his thing. Obviously, Waller's going to play. I would watch it very, very closely. I want him healthy down the stretch. Definitely want him healthy for that Jets game. You heard? But let's see what happens. You never know. Like everybody's already assuming he's gonna, from his injuries the last couple years. Here we go again. It started now. Let's see. It was humid this week in New York. It was hot as hell in New York this week. So let's see what happens. But I would definitely be cautious because you don't want it to turn long term. I would be easy with it.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy, you know how I said it's Chip City for Michael Parsons. For Waller, it's probably Dig City. Just digs. Just run that dig. I need you to distract some people. We hit you over top. We'll go over the top. Just run a dig.
Absolutely.
Just run 10 yards, put your hands in the air like this, and be a distraction for everybody else so we can get loose, man. Keep him healthy. But I'm with you, man. That's a joke. I'm joking. But I'm just saying I want to see him out there, man. I've been waiting all summer to see this man in Giants blue. I got to see him out there.
Me too. Everyone knows I love Darren Waller. The Raiders used to be a team I used to root for just because I like Derek Carr, which I do get a lot of hate for. People don't understand why I love Derek Carr. Even Anthony, he makes fun of me because I love Derek Carr. But I used to love the Raiders. And when I saw the trade come through that we got Darren Waller, I was super excited. I feel like he is literally a top 5 tight end. And obviously the hamstring is annoying. Hamstring injuries are annoying in general. Like Keenan Allen, when he gets a hamstring, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. But when Keenan Allen is on the field, he's still producing. So I'm hoping we don't lose Darren Waller for 4 to 6 weeks. However, if that ever were to happen, I am confident enough in Daniel Bellinger. But I just want to keep Darren Waller healthy just because he could be someone super, 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 super special in this offense.
He could be, and I think that he could be the player, the catalyst here for Daniel Jones, transitioning to Let's Be Giants. Thank you for the donation, but you said DJ will be the top 10 QB by the end of the season if he's not already. Market. And I think that with Darren Waller in the lineup, that's the key to making Daniel Jones a top 10 quarterback this season. Getting him, as Dash said, his Plaxico, right? Because when you look at Eli Manning's career, pre-Plaxico Burress, and then once Plaxico Burress was on the field with him, it's completely different. So getting that number one wide receiver, the Giants wanted it to be Kenny Golladay. They signed Kenny Golladay to be the Plaxico Burress for Daniel Jones. That didn't work out. We all know that. That was terrible. Disaster. But Darren Waller is probably more in line to be that Plaxico than Kenny Golladay really ever was. He's a more dynamic player. He's got the size. He's got the height, the pass catching ability, the routes in particular. We talked a lot about Kenny Golladay being a phenomenal contested catch receiver when he was with the Detroit Lions, but he had a limited route tree. You don't really see that with Darren Waller. He runs at every level. He gets deep. He runs shallow. He runs medium. Like he's a route runner at all 3 levels and a damn good one at that. So I'm curious now. I'm going to open it up. Let's talk about Danny Dimes, right? Top 10. Can he do it? And is Darren Waller the key to doing it? Because personally, I think that he is. I think that Darren Waller is that catalyst to making Daniel Jones a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But Tommy, I'm going to go with you first because I know that you are the Danny Dimes supporter here.
Let me kick this one off.
So go for it.
So listen, tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium, there's going to be a quarterback with a target on his back. This is not going to be number 8 for the New York Giants. Dak Prescott got way more pressure on him right now. Jerry Jones went and got him Trey Lance. Traded for him, right? Going to revive that career, former 3rd pick overall, right? Dak leads the league in interceptions last year. I don't think Dak is a bad quarterback by any stretch, but I think the target is on his back. I think he's one bad game away from that pressure intensifying. I think Jerry Jones is ready to push that button, and I think the Giants need to fast forward that plan tomorrow night. Get back there. Get on them. Listen, this Dallas team fumbled 17 times last year, rushing, receiving combined. Get back there. Get some turnovers because I'm not worried about Daniel Jones. Because if Daniel Jones showed you anything in the preseason at one drive, he's a different quarterback than he was 2020, 2021. Does he still have a lot to prove? Absolutely. Still got to play well against those elite teams. Hasn't done that consistently. Still want to see him hit those deep passes more often. When he has those stack routes, sometimes I want to see him go deep instead of taking the short route that pops. Take that chance downfield. But I think Daniel Jones is going to play good. It's going to be turnover-free football. I wouldn't even mind if he doesn't run the ball as much as he's been running the last couple years. I'm not a fan of him taking those big hits. Let it be like Barkley where it's quality over quantity. But I'm not worried about Daniel Jones at all. They got some guys for him. The line got a little bit better. He got his star running back and Barkley back there. Have at it tomorrow night.
I like it. Daniel Jones, right? I'm going to piggyback. I'm not worried about Daniel Jones at all. Like he's the least of my worries right now. And it's not like okay, Daniel Jones did this. I understand he had the 15 touchdowns last year, but at the end of the day, for me, it's all about winning. You know, and Daniel Jones showed that he can will the football team down the field and win games. So for me, I'm just sitting back and I'm thinking about all the weapons around Daniel Jones. I want him to be comfortable. That's it. If he's comfortable, then that's fine. I'm more worried about can John Michael Schmitz. You know what? I'm not worried about John Michael Schmitz, but I'm just saying, can that line give him the protection? Can he step up in the pocket? We already know that the edges might be an issue, especially on the Evan Neal side. But as long as Daniel Jones has the time to maneuver, get through his progressions, I think we're fine. I think he's going to be fine. He's going to know what to do with the ball quick. We saw that. It's the quick game. And again, it was the Carolina Panthers. I understand that. But I don't care who that is. As quick as he was getting that ball out, I think you can do that against almost anybody because before you even got a chance to react, the ball was out of his hands. And for the most part, it was Waller wide open and it was quick slants. And I expect to see the same things. I know a lot of fans want us to air it out. Yeah, I know it might sound boring to a lot of people, but you take what Dallas gives you at first. I understand you want to take your shots, but I think it's going to be dink and dunk down the field. And I think the explosive plays are going to come from yak yards, like Paris Campbell. Like that's another guy we don't talk a lot about, Paris Campbell. And I think he's going to have a big role. Ever since Hyatt jumped off the charts with his speed, Paris Campbell's going to have a lot of yak yards. Another sleeper. My sleeper of the game is Daniel Bellinger. Now I talked about Chip City with Daniel Bellinger. Here's my game plan. I'll give you a little glimpse of my game plan. It's a nice, boring game plan, but it works. You chip with Daniel Bellinger, and when that pressure comes, you just dump it off to him in the flat. Keep it sneaky. First down every time. You know, chip, let him sneak out. That's your safety blanket or your security blanket, I should say, for Daniel Jones. Get it to Bellinger, 10 yards at a time, and we can listen. A first down is only 10 yards. As long as you're moving the ball 10 yards, you got another set of downs on your hands. So I'm good with the dinking and dunking. If Diggs wants to be an idiot and fall for the double move and we get him over the top, fine. But I just need to see Daniel Jones comfortable first. And I will say this also. I want to start with a run next. I want to start with a run tomorrow. I want to run the ball. And this is specifically for Evan Neal. I don't want Evan Neal's first play to be him reacting to what Lawrence is doing. I want him to be attacking Lawrence and moving forward and being the first one to get physical, as far as in that matchup. So I want to run the ball first. I will settle for a play action because you're still attacking as an offensive lineman when it's play action. But I don't want to see just a straight up drop back, and Daniel Jones trying to find somebody down the field. I don't want to do that on the first play because I don't know yet. I like my confidence is high, but I still got to see things first. But that's why I'm leaving Daniel Jones. Not worried about Daniel Jones at all. As long as he has the protection, the New York Giants will be fine.
Well, hey, I've said it once and I'll say it again. I could talk forever about Daniel Jones. I was an OG Daniel Jones supporter. I feel like it just sucks that he was thrown into such a terrible situation where even Mara even admitted that they threw him into probably one of the worst quarterback situations. And it's not even excuses. I'm tired of people saying like, oh, you're making excuses. When you have a bad O-line, a terrible offensive coordinator, you have a carousel of coaches around you, no wide receivers, what are you supposed to do? We've seen how important an offensive line is for a quarterback. And we've seen how many receivers drop balls that Daniel Jones has thrown. And I feel like what he was able to do last season with literally Richie James as his wide receiver one shows you what he could do if he has better receivers to catch that ball. Richie James, in my opinion, only got his job with the Chiefs because Daniel Jones made him look so good. I'm tired of people saying like, oh, Daniel Jones didn't elevate the talent he had around him. He definitely did. Look at those receivers on that team. He made them look better than what they actually are. So that's what I have to say. I think we're going to see a big year out of Daniel Jones. I think he's a dual threat quarterback. I think he has the arm to throw. He has the legs to run. And I think he is going to surprise a lot of people this season.
I'll agree with you on that end. I think that the top 10 is absolutely within the reach for him. But Diggy, yeah, go ahead and let me hear your
Yeah, I
Daniel
think
Jones
right
take.
now I put him at like high end number 8, low end like 13, 14, maybe the worst.
That's fair.
But DJ, I'm not worried about him. I mean, ever since like the Washington game, the second Washington game, he's been clearly one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. The stats don't always say it, but just the eye test shows you that something clicked in his head. That second Washington game, that last Philly game, I mean, it just happens. It happens. But both Minnesota games, the Colts game, the Bears game, which was before that second Washington game, but he just looks really comfortable. He looks really comfortable. We see it happening. We see it happening in the offseason in practice, which we've never seen in Daniel Jones' career. The offense has never looked this good. And we always say, oh, well, the offense is going to be better when the season starts. This is just practice. But it wasn't. So the offense never looked this good in practice. It never looked this good in preseason. And I'm excited. I think he's looking like the same player he looked like last year. And this first game, win or lose, Daniel Jones isn't going to be – he's not going to go out there and stink up the place. I just don't see that happening. He's going to hit the guys that are open. He's going to run the ball. I just made a pick'em bet that he's going to have at least 35 yards or 39 yards, something like that. So I think he's going to go out there and perform, do a really good job. And if we lose, I think it'll be because of the defense. I'm not really worried about the offense at all.
I can agree. I think one of our first games against Dallas last season, I think was one of Daniel Jones' one of his best games. It was literally just the rest of the team fumbled, and they even went on and said after the game, we let Daniel Jones down. And I will say he looks a lot more confident this year, which is something I am also very excited about. And not just as a player, I think just as a teammate. I think he has shown the kind of leader he is. And this is something that I also stress. If you are the type of leader that the team loves and that the team thinks so highly of, they are going to play 10 times harder. So you can guarantee when Daniel Jones is on that field, the rest of the players around him are going to play 10 times harder because they love Daniel Jones and they know what kind of leader he is and they don't want to let him down. So I think him just being our quarterback and him being our captain, him being there in that locker room only makes the Giants team 10 times more better.
Yeah, I got a bold prediction for Daniel Jones too. Two of them.
Uh-oh.
No.
Let it out.
And like I said, if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen them already. I got Daniel Jones 300 all-purpose and 3 all-purpose touchdowns. I got him doing that tomorrow. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think it's possible. Like Diggy said, again, just him scrambling, not even off design quarterback runs, just him scrambling alone to get a first down. I can see 40 yards easy. Like easy, I can see that almost every game. And if you do the math, that's almost 1,000 yards rushing. So I mean, I can see that from Daniel Jones. But again, bold. I got 3 total touchdowns, over 300 all-purpose yards. So yeah. And then again, when that happens again, just like the 3 sacks from Kayvon Thibodeau in the first half, go ahead and at me, but don't argue with me.
I got a question for the group, if I may.
Let's hear it.
Kellen Moore is gone. Cowboys offensive coordinator, right? Got Brian Schottenheimer now. It's the offensive coordinator, but the play calling is in Mike McCarthy's hands. So when you look at the New York Giants, the obvious defensive weakness, if you're carrying over from last year, is the run defense. But you have 2 rookie corners out there. You have Jason Pinnock, who has not really started. Last year, he played 40% of the snaps. How do you think Dallas attacks the Giants' defense?
I think it's going to be interesting. I'll jump onto that one right now and say I think it's Dak Prescott is the key here for Dallas. Allie's going to make fun of me once again because I say Dak Prescott is my quarterback because I have him in this dynasty league that I take way too seriously. But I think that Dak Prescott gets a lot of unnecessary hate. Yes, we can hate on him for fun because we're biased Giants fans, but he is a good quarterback. This is a guy that 2 seasons ago threw 37 touchdown passes. That's not easy to do. Yeah, he threw 15 interceptions last year and only 23 touchdowns, but he also only played in 12 games. So whatever the averages are there in terms of touchdowns per game, I'm pretty sure he was on pace for at least 30. So the guy can put up points, and whether that be on the ground as well, we know that he can run, not as much as he used to. They've kind of, taken that aspect of his game away since that injury, but I think that Dak is a good quarterback, and if I am Mike McCarthy here and I'm calling these plays, I'm looking to attack those cornerbacks, those rookie cornerbacks with Dak Prescott. I'm testing them. I'm having him read the defense and throw their way on a consistent basis. Don't go after Adoree Jackson as much. Don't try and, throw it into Xavier McKinney's zone all that often. But when you have those one-on-one man coverage looks that you're going to get in this Wink Martindale defense, Wink Martindale is going to be running plenty of cover 0, plenty of cover 1. He's going to be blitzing. It's going to happen. So when you have those one-on-one opportunities to try and take advantage of those rookies, it's on Dak Prescott. He's got to take advantage. So if I'm Mike McCarthy, yeah, I know last season the Giants' run defense was atrocious, but I'm looking at the inexperience in that secondary. And even for what it's worth, Jason Pinnock is inexperienced. I'm really high on Jason Pinnock. I think he's going to be great, but he is inexperienced. He's never been a full-time starter at the safety position. So it's the name of the game for the Giants defense, the secondary at least, is inexperienced. So if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm putting the ball in Dak Prescott's hands, and I'm saying, show us why you're a franchise quarterback and why we pay you all that money.
You're absolutely right. If I'm Mike McCarthy, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm attacking these young cornerbacks. That's a failure if you don't attack these young cornerbacks. Now, if they're successful, that's a whole other thing. The other thing I would say for Dak Prescott, hot reads. Like if you're going to counter the blitz, it's hot reads. Same way I want the Giants to use Daniel Bellinger. I don't know who's the second tight end for Dallas now. I don't even know who the second tight end is. I know it's Ferguson's the starter. They lost the dude from last year. They lost Schultz. I forget who the guy. He is another funny name guy. But I'm attacking the same. I'm attacking the same way. Like, okay, hot reads. Use my security blankets, dump it out in the flats. But I think the difference is now is going back to the Giants side is this. When you try to dump it to the flat, now you got a guy like Isaiah Simmons who's covering all of that, covering the flats, running back out of the backfield. You got a guy that can cover that. Unlike last year, we couldn't even get there. As much as I like Micah McFadden, he couldn't get there. Jalen Smith, Tay Crowder, they couldn't get there. And now you got a guy that can get there, and then you also have a guy, Bobby Okereke, who's smart enough to get there. Because he's not as fast as Simmons, but he's very, very smart and very, very disciplined. So if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm attacking the young corners, and I'm taking advantage of what I can get on the outside, short stuff, dumping it off. Now, I already know Mike McCarthy. He's not going to do that. We already know that he's not going to do that. He's going to try to do something absolutely different. He's going to try to beat us deep. Long crossing routes with Gallup, in immediate field as well. And that's where, Azeez and Kayvon Thibodeau come into play because they got to get home. And I'm looking at Terrence Steele coming off of a knee injury. Azeez Ojulari, in my opinion, right now today is our best pass rusher. I think he has more moves than Kayvon Thibodeau right now today. Kayvon will absolutely be better than him soon. But right now, today, Azeez is better. Terrence Steele off the knee. I'm going with Azeez. And then you're looking at whoever they put out there. Tyron Smith, if he's healthy enough. They cut a bunch of offensive linemen too, so I don't even know who they have. Like Tyler Smith was the backup tackle, and now he's gone. It's not much back there. Yeah, so you telling me and when I really think about the bold prediction of Kayvon Thibodeau getting 3 sacks in the first half, I'm ready to even go up with it a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. We might see some OC Umenyiora type stuff happening.
That's a guaranteed win right there.
Yo, I'm not even trying to boast. I'm being dead serious when I'm not trying to be funny. If Tyron Smith is not the left tackle and Tyler Smith is not the left guard, you telling me you're gonna on that left side, our right side, their left side, you got Dexter at the nose, Leonard Williams, and Kayvon Thibodeau? Like, come on. I don't think it's far-fetched. That he might have we set a record tomorrow. He might set a record.
Listen, Dash, after all the years the Cowboys O-line dominated the Giants, that would be poetic justice. To have a night where we go out and get 6-7 sacks Sunday night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen. We're talking crazy now. I get it. We're talking crazy. But when I'm thinking about it, it's not that like if it happens, it doesn't seem that crazy. I will say this though. I want all of their starters to play. I know they're not going to play. I want all their starters to play for one reason. Because we're winning tomorrow. And when we do beat the Dallas Cowboys, I don't want to hear any excuses about
No, there's gonna be excuses.
Yeah,
already. You see it already, right? You see it already. I don't want any excuses. We're probably going to get a million of them, though. But I'm not trying to hear none of that because they didn't care about the guys that were inactive when we played last year. They didn't care about that. They just, and then all of a sudden they act like they whooped us when we were winning in the fourth quarter for both of those games. Like I remember that. So listen, I'm not trying to hear nothing. I got us winning.
Yeah,
I don't know if you plan on doing predictions in this show. I got us winning.
Yeah, that was his offensive line. Just to give y'all that context, their backup left tackle is Edoga, and he's also their backup left guard. So if they both can't go, Edoga would be their left tackle, or maybe they might move Terrence Steele over to left tackle, Edoga the right tackle.
Man, put Dexter Lawrence.
And then TJ Bass would be their starting left guard. So that would not be good for them at all if for some reason Tyron Smith doesn't play.
I'm just going to piggyback off of the no excuses part. I feel like, again, I'm tired of hearing Dak's record against the Giants. Let's be honest. How many years have the Giants been, we've been terrible? So they've beaten bad Giants teams. I was at this horrible Mike Glennon Cowboy Giants game 2 years ago, and when we lost that, they were celebrating it as if it was a Super Bowl. Like, you beat Mike Glennon, congratulations, we are a healthy team now. So I am ready to beat them, and I am so ready to see them cry, because Cowboy fans, for some reason, they're not going to win a Super Bowl, so beating the Giants is their Super Bowl. So I think that was going to be fun.
They got a lot of pressure on them over there, a lot of pressure, and it's not easy to play with pressure. Quarterbacks under pressure, teams under pressure, owners under pressure. Been a long time. And when you got those banners, and I know everybody could agree with me, when you got those banners and you got 4 or 5 banners up there, making the playoffs don't mean nothing, right? Winning a playoff game don't mean anything. It's more than that. So let them play with that pressure right now, because they got more pressure than the Giants. I'm not going to say the Giants are going to be loose and free, but Cowboys got more of that pressure right now. So
they got it all, Tommy. They got all the pressure, Tommy.
Absolutely.
They got it all. We can, I see a lot more people are, trying to go with the Giants. But I remember the talk 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I remember people laughing at the opening game. I remember all that. I got people in the crosshairs, man. I remember everything. And listen, it's going to get spooky tomorrow. It's going to get spooky tomorrow. It's especially
that's the word of the week.
Yeah, that's
Hold on. I got to say something from the chat. So Dubman said MetLife Stadium should chant Trey Lance. I like that one.
I think the Trey Lance trade was super interesting. Not to get too off topic, but I thought that was interesting because it gives Dallas a lot of insurance. I still think there's something there with Trey Lance. I wasn't super high on him in that draft. I thought that was a reach, a bad pick, and clearly it proved to be a terrible pick. But there's something there. If you can get the right coaching with Trey Lance, I think there's still something to unlock there and hopefully develop into. So we'll see.
He got 100 career pass attempts. They didn't even give dude a chance. So I think there's something behind the scenes with that one, but we'll see.
He broke it. Did he break his leg last year?
He started, got hurt.
Have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, he was the starter at one point, he won it last year, the starting job, and then he got hurt and he lost it and he didn't win it back, but now he can maybe win it back from Dak. Maybe he can go ahead and put the pressure on Prescott, and we'll see later this season.
I want to see Trey Lance tomorrow night.
Alex,
we won't.
About this too, and Alex made a good point that when you confuse Dak, that's it. That's when Dak starts making mistakes. And I think MetLife is going to be rocking, and I feel like Dak not being able to really hear anything is going to kind of confuse him a little bit, because again, Giants have been terrible. The last Giants-Cowboys game I went to, Cowboy fans, Giants fans didn't even want to watch, but I think this time Giants fans are excited. So again, MetLife is going to be rocking, Dak is going to be confused, and we are going to see a lot of mistakes from Dak. That is my
To piggyback on Ali's point, Dak did turn it over twice in that Thanksgiving game versus the Giants, when the Giants had who at cornerback? Rodarius.
And the
Giants had 6 interceptions last year, and 2 of them was in one game.
Yeah, horrible. It's a horrible stat for us. And like I said, we're blue tomorrow. if you're at the stadium, they said to wear blue. I'll be at home. I'll be wearing blue.
Me too.
My kids will be wearing blue. Yeah, I'm all for it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only thing to add in what Mike McCarthy, I think he should do. I think the West Coast offense is a perfect antidote for Dak to see what it did for Eli Manning back in like 2014. Also, he got Odell, but it lowered the turnovers. It gets the ball out quick. I haven't paid attention to Dak's footwork, and I haven't seen him take a preseason snap. But if you all remember, Eli changed his footwork, and he had his right foot back before the snap, so he could just catch the ball and throw it. If Dak is doing that, expect the ball to come out really quickly. And if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm using those two shifty running backs to my advantage against that blitz. I'm running all types of exotic screens. I'm running shuttle screens, and I'm getting those guys into space because Deuce Vaughn is about 3 feet tall and 80 pounds, and you might not be able to see him. So
man, he's Mario before the mushroom is what he is.
I would be using those running backs to my advantage because both of them are really shifty, and they could really, I mean, they could make the plays that change the game.
That's true. Don't give him too much knowledge though, Diggy. Don't give him too much. Let him figure it out himself.
Hopefully McCarthy isn't watching this.
It'll be interesting to see how Wink Martindale plays this one, in my opinion, because he's Mr. Aggression, Mr. Blitz, Mr. Send It All. But I don't know if that's the way that the Giants are going to want to play it. I think that when you've got this favorable matchup in the trenches, right, you don't need the blitz as much. I think that the Giants should be able to win a lot of their one-on-ones against Dallas's, lowly pass protection, because this is the first time in a long time that we've gone into Giants-Dallas week 1, and we've been like, wow, Dallas has a bad offensive line. Like, the Cowboys have had a good offensive line for the last decade, it feels like. Every single year they've got all pros on the unit. They've got multiple all pros on the unit, just a good unit. But this year, injuries, guys are getting old. It's not going to be the same thing. It's not the same story. And so I'm curious to see how Wink Martindale plays it, because I don't think you need to send a bunch of extra blitzers to get after Dak Prescott in this game. I think that you can just go out there with a 4-man rush and hopefully get a few sacks, which I don't think the Giants did too often last year. A lot of their pressures, a lot of their sacks were through those fancy blitz packages that Wink Martindale comes up with. But this year, or at least this game, week 1, I don't think you have to do that as much. I really do trust in the front four there with Azeez, with Thibodeau, with Dexter Lawrence, with Leonard Williams. Those 4 guys right there should be able to get home, disrupt Dak Prescott. So, but I'll be curious. I think that Wink Martindale is going to Wink Martindale. Like, he's going to send some crazy blitz packages at some point in the game. But again, looking at the defense, 2 rookie corners, inexperience. Dak's going to try and take advantage of that. I don't know how often you want to be in that cover 1, that cover 0, sending everybody and playing just straight man coverage again across the board. I really do think that the Giants should try and settle into a 4-man pass rush for the majority of this game.
No, you're absolutely right. I've been screaming that, since we had Dallas, on the schedule. I need Wink to calm down. I need Wink to first off, I need Wink to make sure that these young cornerbacks can do what they need to do. Now, if the young cornerbacks can do what they need to do, then, by all means, have at it. Do get your blitzing going and all that other stuff. But I think you're absolutely correct, especially, again, with the updates, with the injuries to their offensive line. I think you can absolutely get enough pressure, with your front and with your edges, that you might not need to have all these elaborate blitzes. Just like you said, I don't think it's going to be needed. Now, I could be absolutely wrong. Again, the game has not been played yet. But I'm trying to figure out first, before we already have these cornerbacks on the island, but before we really put them on an island by themselves, let's see if we can get some pressure with Cat, because I think we can get pressure. Like, I really believe it. I really believe it that we can get pressure with just the guys up front. And then if you want to talk about Dak Prescott getting that ball out quick, similar to what Eli was doing under McAdoo, I'll say the same thing. That means the defensive linemen, our front, need to get their hands up. They need to get inside those throwing lanes to try to bat a ball down if it's going to be quick like that. Because I already know Tyler Biadasz versus Dexter Lawrence, that pocket is getting pushed. It's getting pushed. Now, they might chip with Zach Martin. Like, you might see a guard chipping with, because, I don't. But Dexter's going to push the pocket. Leonard Williams is going to push the pocket. And then the edges just got to get home. And then as long as the linebackers can get into their drop sets, I think we can pretty much shut down that quick game. I think if we get into the throwing lanes, we can do that. But again, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dash. Why blitz if you don't have to, right? See if you can get that organic pass rush from the front four. See if Aziz can get in there. He's healthy. Thibodeau. I'm not going to say the blitz is an advantage to the quarterbacks, but sometimes it is. If they have the quick game on point, they got their hots, that blitz could be an advantage to Dak Prescott. I wouldn't give that to him. I'm not going and giving that. And listen, Wink is going to wink. It is what it is. He's the number one blitzing defensive coordinator year after year. But I'm with you, Dash. Like, you got two rookie corners out there. I'm not going crazy right off the bat, leaving them on islands. Let's build up to that. Let's get a little progression to that. You want to let Hyatt loose, let Jalen Hyatt loose. I'm fine. But the rookie corners, let's just build up to that little by little. Let Thibodeau get in there. Let him get warm. Let Aziz get warm. Let Dexter push somebody into the pocket. Let that organic pass rush do its thing. If it doesn't get there, you get into the end of the first quarter, start of the second quarter. All right. Time to do your thing, rookies. Time to play within the system.
And you know what, Tommy? This is why I got into a lot of arguments when we found out that Aaron Rodgers was going to start. I wanted our rookie cornerbacks to play against him. Now I know nobody wants anybody to get hurt. I understand that, but I wanted them to, to actually, be targeted. I wanted them to be targeted against a guy that can really throw the ball. And I think even if it was for just a series, just that first series, I think it would have helped these guys a lot with their confidence. Also to see because it was Garrett Wilson out there, and it was pretty much McCole Hardman. Their starting wide receivers were out there, and I think we would have been a fantastic look. Even if they would have got beat, it would have been a fantastic look because right now I don't have a clue. I got high hopes, but no clue. I expect these guys to be good, but I would have loved to see them against Aaron Rodgers. But I can't keep crying over spilled milk, man. But I wish I would have been able to see them against Rodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
My bad, Diggy. Go ahead.
I think Wink is going to blitz regardless. I don't think it's worth even talking about. Like, is he going to rush forward because he's going to blitz? Yeah. And I think one thing that Wink does that makes him so good of a defensive coordinator is that he's going to run a lot of blitzes, but a lot of his blitzes are only going to be 5-man rushes. So I'm expecting to see a lot of 5-man rushes. I'm not expecting a lot of leaving our corners one-on-one with no safety over the top. But I am expecting to see a lot of times where Isaiah Simmons is blitzing along with the front four, or Bobby is blitzing with the front four, or Jason Pinnock or Xavier McKinney. We have a lot of really talented blitzers. Even the rookie corners, I think they're going to be good blitzers for us. So I'm expecting a lot of 5-man rushes and a lot of 4-man rushes where not all of our defensive linemen are coming. And maybe instead of – I hate to see Dexter Lawrence dropping back in coverage. I hate to see Thibodeau dropping back in coverage, but it's going to happen. Man. We might see that, and it might be Isaiah Simmons coming instead of this person, or a corner coming instead of this person. I think that's going to get us at least one sack tomorrow.
Hey, Dick, you know how many times I threw my hat when I saw Kayvon Thibodeau in coverage?
Yeah, I don't want to see that either.
For what it's worth, though, Kayvon Thibodeau in coverage, it's not something that I like to see. But if he wasn't in coverage against Washington, Taylor Heineke probably scores that touchdown. That's all I'll say. It's true. It's put him in some opportunities to make some plays in the past. It's not my favorite strategy for Martindale, but as we said, Wink is going to wink. He's just going to do it. He's going to send 6 on any given down. You've always got to be ready for the heat when you're playing up against a Wink Martindale defense.
You can forget anything me and Tommy said.
I know, right? We tried that.
It's like Jim Haslett,
exactly.
Gage ate every other play.
I
Yeah.
kind of just want to jump in. I feel like I understand the nervousness against the rookie cornerbacks, but again, I'm the optimist here. I thought against the Lions, Banks looked good. He was against St. Brown. St. Brown is a beast. He had that pass breakup. So honestly, I'm not worried. Maybe as worried as maybe I should be. I definitely do think they're going to hold their own. 100%. Again, if you could play really good defense on St. Brown, who again is a beast, I think St. Brown is he's a different player in his own realm. But if you could do that on St. Brown, I feel you could do that on any receiver, to be honest.
I have a question for Ali. Ali, do you stay this positive during the games?
Absolutely not.
That's what I figured.
At my TV, I am the worst person to watch football with because I will be screaming. I will be cursing out everybody on the TV. There's been times I've literally have screamed even at Wink because I'm like, Wink, what the are you doing? Like, he gets me so tight sometimes, but I try to stay positive.
Yeah, that's like my wife. Like when the Steelers are playing, I can't even be in the same room. I can't even be in the same room with because if I say the wrong thing, it's get out. Yeah, but now she goes hard for the Steelers. Yep.
Freaking Giants Jets preseason. I was like at a family party when that was happening, so I'm watching on my phone, and she's like, "Who's winning?" And I'm like, "The Jets." And she was just like, trying to like get under my skin, and it was working. I was like, "Our starters aren't even playing," and she was like, "So what? They should be winning regardless." And it was getting me so mad. Like I hate losing. I hate when the players do stupid things. I'm a crazy lady yelling at my TV every Sunday.
That's why
You're not alone.
Corners.
You're not alone.
Yeah, I'll say though, I'm also really positive on Banks and Hawkins. The Giants are positive on Banks and Hawkins. That's why they're starting. But there is a level of nervousness with just the inexperience, knowing what Dallas has offensively. But Deontay Banks was my guy. That's who I wanted in the first round of that draft. I was over the moon when they landed him. Like I put out the mock draft the day prior, and I said Deontay Banks is my prediction for the Giants in that one. I've taken 100 victory laps on that one, but I'm taking another one right here. But Deontay Banks was my prediction. That's who I wanted. I think that he's going to be an all-pro one day, but even still, he's going up against an all-pro in day one. He's got to go up against CeeDee Lamb week one. That's a tall task. So these rookie corners, I don't want to test them too much. I don't want to put them on an island too much, but when they've got those opportunities, I'm expecting Banks to make some plays, and I think that they will rise to the occasion of prime time. But it is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of eyes on them. First game, there's going to be some nervousness. There's going to be growing pains inevitably. Not every cornerback that you draft is going to turn into Sauce Gardner, right? No cornerback turns into Sauce Gardner other than Sauce Gardner. So it's rare to see a player like that. But week one, Deontay Banks, he's going to have his fair share of struggles, I'm sure. Trey Hawkins as well, but I am confident in them, and I think there's a reason that they're starting, and I trust in the Giants coaching staff to make these right decisions, and I think they've made the right one. But, we're coming up to that 2-hour mark, so we're going to get wrapping up soon.
Damn.
But we got to go over the predictions. We got to do it. Score predictions. Let's do player of the game predictions. And since it is week one and we are ringing in the new year, I want to do record predictions as well. I'm going to let Tommy kick it off with your score prediction.
Damn, mad pressure. I got to go first.
I'm sorry, man. I got to put you in the Dak Prescott spotlight. Put that pressure on you.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll start with the season prediction. I got 10-7. I think the Giants are going to struggle a little bit through the first half of the season, kind of hover around 500. Tough schedule. You got Buffalo, you got San Fran, obviously Dallas tomorrow night. I think they pick it up 6-2 in the last 8. I was thinking about this today, so I'm off the head with it. And I go 10-7. And I think it's going to be a big year too. You're going to see progressions from Daniel Jones. You're going to see progressions from players like Darius Slayton, Daniel Bellinger, obviously the star players too. But yeah, I say 10-7. It's a tough schedule. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a ton of close games again. So get ready for that. Get ready for those edge of your seat type games because they're coming. As far as tomorrow night, I got Giants 27-24. I got a late Dak Prescott turnover. Haven't decided if it's a fumble or a pick yet. And it's coming at the hands of Azeez Ojulari. Giants win 1-0. First of their 10 wins, I predict.
Nice.
All right, Allie, let's hear it. You got them 18-0 or 17-0 or what?
Come on, Allie.
I think 10-7 is right. 10-7, 11-6 range. I don't have an exact score. However, we did go over this. I do have us winning by a touchdown. I do see it more being a field goal, but again, me being optimist, I would like to win by that touchdown just because, I don't know, just what I want to see. As far as player of the game, again, me being Daniel Jones fan. I kind of want to see Daniel Jones go off. I think he went off last game. My uncle's a Cowboys fan. I remember him texting me during that game, like, we can't stop Daniel Jones from running. It's making me mad. So I do feel like we could see a big Daniel Jones game as well because they weren't able to stop him before. I don't think they're going to be able to stop him now that there's so many other weapons that they have to keep into account. So that's what I have.
All right. I could see it. I think that it is going to be a close one, but before I get into my prediction, Dash, what's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, so like I said, around this time when the season starts to get into, season starts, I'm in full homer mode. full homer mode. So I got to go back. I did a video right when we got the schedule. I had the Giants going 10-7. Right now, again, take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, I'm thinking 11-6 because at first I had us losing to the San Francisco 49ers, but now I don't know about that either. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's another week. But yeah, 10. I'll stick with my original 10-7. I got Daniel Jones as the NFC Player of the Week this week.
Damn.
Again, I can't sit here and bold predict 3 total touchdowns, over 300 yards, and not say he's not going to be the player. Unless Kayvon Thibodeau is all those sacks we was talking about. Unless that happens, then it's a whole nother story. But no, you can have an offensive and a defensive player of the week. So we might mess around and get both of them. Both of them might come from the Giants. But yeah, so play the game. I got Daniel Jones. And I said it before, 28-20. I got the New York Giants winning 28-20. Maybe even 28-17. But I think we scored 28 points against the Dallas Cowboys. And one of those is probably going to be a scooping score.
Yes.
I'd love to see that. NFC defensive and offensive player of the week now. That would be a real good time. But Diggy, what's your prediction for week 1?
In my head, I'm thinking 28-20.
Yeah.
Did you just say that? Did you just
yes,
say
sir.
That?
Yes, sir. I'm glad you said it.
I thought you said it. So yeah, I'm thinking around that same thing. I think we're gonna have to get over. If the Giants get over 25 points, I think we win. If we don't, I feel like the complete opposite is going to happen. Obviously, as far as the season, I'm thinking 10-7 as well. Just looking at that schedule, there's a ton of tough games. I think we'll win some, but I think we'll lose some. It's just what happens. Like I think I did like a schedule prediction. I did wins and losses, and I had us losing to the Saints. And people are like, "We're better than the Saints," and I'm like, "Yeah, but there's just always that one game." So 10-7, we could do much better, but that's where I'm thinking right now.
I like it. I have the same prediction. I've been saying all season long. I'm 10-7, but I'm also 10-7/9-8. I'm the pessimist of the crowd once again, as I always am. Allie makes fun of me endlessly for this. I'm not one of the guys that thinks it's safe to make the bet of a 12-5. It's a 10-7/9-8 for me. I know that the NFC is kind of weaker this year, but even so, I think there's going to be some rising teams. You've got Detroit to keep an eye on, and I also think Green Bay has a chance to kind of take a step forward. Minnesota's still good. The NFC North is strong in my eyes, and I think that there are some teams out there that can make a jump. I still think we make the postseason at 10-7, but 9-8 wouldn't shock me either. Player of the game, though, for me, it's going to be Kayvon Thibodeau. I think that he's going to have that game-breaking moment. And on the offensive side of the ball, though, it's Jalen Hyatt. As I said earlier, I'm banking on that Jalen Hyatt touchdown. And I'm not even the biggest Jalen Hyatt guy. Like, I wasn't crazy about him pre-draft. Like I said, he's a boomer bust. I thought he was a third-round prospect, in my opinion. I didn't think he was a first-round pick. So seeing him go to in the third round, yeah, it was a steal for the Giants because a lot of people had them in that first round. But I thought that, third round was probably his value. And I think that what we've seen from him this preseason, the speed that he has, Trayvon Diggs, all the things I mentioned earlier, I'm seeing a Jalen Hyatt touchdown. I think he's going to be our player on the offensive end that makes that game winner almost in a way. But my score prediction, to me, I'm going to go a little higher than all of you. I think that if you want to beat Dallas, and I think that we will beat Dallas, you got to drop at least 30 points. Dallas was fourth in the NFL last year at 27.5 points per game. They can get the points up in a hurry. Dak Prescott can sling it. He could score touchdowns, as I said earlier. I know, roll your eyes at me, Allie, but Dak Prescott can score touchdowns. Can't do anything else. So my prediction is 33-30. And as I said a few weeks ago to you, Allie, it's a Graham Gano game-winning field goal as time expires. Graham Gano just signed his big extension. He's going to show everybody why the Giants paid him that money on Sunday Night Football. So I've got the 30 burger. I've got 33-30 New York Giants over the Dallas Cowboys. Oof. And man, I am excited. Week 1, it's finally here. I think it's going to be a big year for our Giants. All of you are excited. I'm excited. Before we wrap this one up, I want to thank you all for joining me on this long live stream. I really had a blast. Appreciate all of you joining me. I'm happy that we were able to all link up, do this little panel style, and talk about our Giants as we head into week 1. So before we wrap, I'm going to let you all get a chance to speak. Tell everyone where they can find you. Tommy, again, thanks for joining me, but tell everybody where they can find you at and where your content's posted.
Yeah, first and foremost, before anything, thank you for having me on. Like I said, it's a blessing to be on here with such a talented group of giant content creators. You guys all showed out tonight, did a phenomenal job. The knowledge, the way you bring it across, I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. You know, a couple of you I used to watch before I even started doing content. So to be up here and to be able to talk ball with you is a blessing. You can catch me on Twitter, TommyG105. I also have a podcast called Tommy's Takes. It's on the Giants Country YouTube. It's ran by Patricia Trainer. So you could check me out there. Again, appreciate any and all support. Thank you for having me on. Go Giants.
Yes, sir. Go Giants. Big Dash. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, BigDashKnows on all social media platforms except for Facebook. I still haven't figured that out yet. I gotta get a Facebook page going. It's just me and my government on Facebook. But outside of that, yeah, man. Yeah, I just want to piggyback off what Tommy said, man. I've been doing it for a little bit over a year now. I've been watching a lot of you guys. I've been watching Fireside Diggy. Yeah, I've been watching you for a long time too. So to be up here at the panel, prior to game one, I'm humbled by that, and thank you guys for having me. Pretty much, but let's go Giants, man. Fee-fi-fo-fum, we coming.
Let's go Giants. Diggy, the veteran of the group. Since 2009, he's been doing it. Where can everybody find you at?
OG.
You can find me everywhere, but I guess Facebook too at Digge546 Digge
Diggy went up us.
546. I also remember I didn't give my player of the game, so real quick I'll say I'm guessing Leo is going to take over because he's going to be on that left side.
Interesting.
And I think that's going to be a weak point for them because whoever's starting the guard is not blocking Leo.
Facts.
And yeah, Diggy546 on YouTube. I make all kinds of content. Always fun to work over here on Fireside. They do a really good job. We both do a really good job breaking down tape. So yeah, I mean, you'll probably see me over here, and you'll see them over on my channel a couple times. Over on top of that, there was something I'm completely forgetting about that I wanted to say, but appreciate you for having me on. Oh yeah, I wanted to give a shout out real quick to Big Dash because again, he's a guy that I've seen on Twitter, and as he saw my channel and he was a fan of my channel way even before I was even uploading on a consistent basis, making like non-trash talking videos about the Giants. I noticed him every single day or almost every single day on Twitter, on Big Blue Kickoff Live with that hashtag talking Giants football. So it was just really cool to see this guy tweeting every day about the Giants, and then to see a face get put to that is really cool. Like almost, it's got to be 10 years later.
It's been a while. On Twitter, yeah, I was going crazy on Twitter, man.
There's so many times I was sitting in Big Blue Kickoff Live, listening to it in college or in high school or whatever, and I just hear, I'm not even going to say it because it has your name in it. You might not want me to say it, but they just would be reading off your name. So yeah,
they read it off wrong too. They read it off wrong. Yeah, they called me cold. They had it wrong. Yeah.
All right, love to hear it.
I
Thanks,
appreciate
Diggy.
that, Dick.
Yeah.
All right, and Allie, my partner in crime here on Fireside Giants. Of course, we find you here, but where else can we find you, Allie?
On Twitter, Amiable Allie, and I just kind of want to give some background as to how I even started. So for me, I was born a Giants fan. I feel like my dad was out all the time, always working. The only time I got to spend with my dad would be watching Giants football on Sunday. And I feel like most Giants fans can say this. Most Giants fans can say the same thing. It's just kind of like that family bonding thing, and it kind of gave me something to look forward to with my dad. So for me, it's a lot of love and it's a lot of passion, and that's how it's always been for me with the Giants. It's a love for the team, having those memories. I remember watching Super Bowls and seeing my dad, a grown man, in tears because this football team won the Super Bowl. So I feel like just having those memories in general makes me love the team. So just being able to have a platform, which I do have to thank Anthony for, and Alex as well, for just seeing me, taking a chance on me, and giving me a chance to kind of speak and show my love for the team, which is something that I will be forever grateful for. So yeah, that's what I have to say on that.
Shout out Alex Wilson.
Yep, shout out to Alex. He couldn't be here, as we mentioned earlier, at the grandma's B-Day party, but he's here in spirit. He texted me during, said everybody on here is killing it, and he was happy, tuned in for a couple minutes. So shout out to Alex, and of course he'll be back on tomorrow's episode. We might be streaming. If not, we're definitely hitting you guys with the post-game recap, so stay tuned to that. Subscribe to the channel, all of that good stuff. But once again, I just have to say thank you to all of you for joining me. I got to say thank you to everybody in the chat for joining all of us for these past 2 hours. Really appreciate all the love and support. So make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Comment your thoughts down below if you're watching it afterwards. And go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants, and go ahead and follow all of these great people as well, their YouTubes, their Twitters, all down in the description box. So once again, thank you all, and let's go Giants.
Peace.